This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
What a beautiful morning here and beyond Ngala. Just have a look at the sunrise. I just want to position the vehicle a little bit. Now, after the rain, we've been so lucky with hearing all the birds. And you can see how beautiful the sun's coming out through the clouds there. And just in front of it, the beautiful marula tree. So I'm Nikki here at Beyond Ngala. I'm going to be your ranger for this morning, and on camera we have Owen. Now, just to give you a plan, so we started to make our way into an area where we had the male line last night, and the rest of the pride were calling somewhere up in this direction here. So it might have been that they could have moved during the evening. I mean, it's nice and cool weather, the wind's blowing from our left to right, so there's a good chance that these lines might even have moved this way, but we haven't seen any tracks. We're going to carry on and hopefully see if there's any other signs of the pride or even that male line from last night. And then who knows, later on as it warms up, maybe look for some elephants and buffaloes and some of the more common animals like zebra and wildebeest. So we just want to let all our viewers know, like, because of the weather and because of where we are located in bush, we do experience some technical difficulties, but no, the staff is working really hard to try and see if they can work through all of that. But what we're going to do is let's carry on with our drive, and as I said, that's going to be our plan. Hopefully some lines this morning. Now, because of the rain last night, every single track that we'll find now, if it's on top of the rain, we know it's going to be fresh. It would have been probably from early hours of this morning up to now. And the thing about lines is this is also the time that they tend to move. Safari Kiti, it is so beautiful. I'm looking at that sunrise and it's absolutely magnificent. Now, the biggest thing after the rain is because of all the puddles of water, we also can hear some of the frogs. And one of my favorite ones, and I'd love the viewers to go and have a look and see if you can see this particular frog. But it's called, or research more about it, it's called a bandage rubber frog, and highly toxic, but a beautiful black frog with a lot of red on the side. So really beautiful, and the call it makes like a. So really love to encourage the viewers, go and have a look at it. Don't have a frog book with me at the moment, but I'll try and see maybe on our next drive or some of our drives going forward that I'll bring it along so I can show everyone. So I'm just carefully scanning. I don't want to be one of those that just because I'm looking backwards the whole time, I miss an opportunity to spot these lines. Now I'm trying to see if there's any tracks on the road, but at the same time I'm looking out for little bits of white, maybe on the belly of these lions, if they are lying down in the grass. It's nice and green at the moment, so they do stand out quite a bit, unless of course they've gone into a really dense area. There's also some wind blowing, and the chances are that if the wind's blowing quite hard, some of the animals might move into a bit of cover. Hopefully, some lions this morning.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. The rains have cleared, the thunder has stopped, which of course means the lightning has stopped, and the sun is starting to pop its head out. My name is Lauren. I do have Niels on camera, and it's really quite a pleasant morning. It's damp, it's wet, smells amazing, but I'm wearing shorts, so it's really, really not that chilly. And we've just stopped on quarantine, and of course, it's very quiet. A lot of the animals that you normally find on quarantine have ran away into the thicket and disappeared. So I have lots of missions this morning, Niels. I think we should move. I want to head to the hyena den quickly, and then I will then try and check on Miss Klalamba. Klangula's on my list for today. I have never had the chance to meet him. I would absolutely love to meet that handsome male leopard. Move over Tingana, and some termites. I'm absolutely fascinated by termites. Now, they're very active. You can see the mounds that have got lots of reconstruction, lots of sort of movement going on, but you can't actually see the organisms responsible for that. And it's, of course, the termites. They're still very much inside. They need moisture, and it's only when there's enough rain that you'll start to see the termites come out of the mound. So every single mound that we go past, Niels, we're going to look for termites. Exciting. I bet you Niels cannot wait. Now, let's look at this mound. We've got a small termite mound here. I'm going to try and position for Niels because we've got a rain roof on. And you can see that there's absolutely no sort of new additions to that. It looks exactly the same. Not much activity is going on here, so that's not what we're looking for. So I'm going to continue on and look for my favorite termites.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve, to your live safari from the African wilderness. Sitting here with such a beautiful wildebeest. Busy taking their easy morning, feeding around. Seems to be all good for them. And I don't think there's any interruption. My name's Andrew on camera. I have Gert. So we came to this beautiful position of wildebeest just to begin our day, just to see how they react, whether there is anything behind them. Because if there is something then behind them, they mainly run around quite a lot, or even give an alarm call. It's only them around here. There's no impalas, which they usually sometimes hang around with impalas and the zebra. But they never stop looking around. It's all about safety. So we're going to continue. Check the western boundary for possibly line tracks on top of the wet I'm going to be taking you over another live guide.
Good morning, good morning. It is another stunning morning here in Tswalu Kalahari, and we're looking at something that we don't get to see here so much. Some Birchall zebra. By the way, guys, good morning. My name is Moritz. Behind the camera, we've got David. And our plans for this morning is to, well, see what the bush has to offer, but also we are in the area where the lions like to operate. You know, with us having the storm the other day and not being able to have them on screen for so long, we're going to try and see if we can't get some good lion sightings this morning, possibly of those little cubs. I have still yet to see them, so I'm getting very jealous every time everyone else says they saw them. So we are going to go and look for those little guys. If there's a male that comes around, then that is always a good thing. But yeah, very, very nice to see these zebras. They're looking nice and clean after the rain. You can see some of them have rolled on the Kalahari sand a little bit after the rain, but most of them have that more white stripes at the moment. They were looking quite brown here at just before we had the rain, just because none of the dust is getting washed off. That one definitely rolled in the sand. Beautiful, beautiful though. So we've got two different species of zebra in Tswalu. We've got the Birchall zebra, which we also call the plains zebra. That's the one that you see most often. Not in Tswalu though. And then we have the Hartman's mountain zebra. Very, very cool. Now the main differences between them, just to be able to identify, is they've got a slightly rounder ear, the mountain zebra now. And then the belly of the zebra is pure white. The stripes don't come down all the way to its, umbilical cord or belly button. So very white belly, very thin black stripes, and no shadow stripes. None of those shady stripes in between the big black stripes that you can see on the bum of that zebra over there. So very, a lot of detail when it comes to the Hartman's mountain zebra. They're quite pretty animals, but we don't see them as much out in the plains like we're doing these guys right now. They typically operate on the mountains during the day, and then late afternoon, when I say late afternoon, I'm talking about just at sunset on a warm day and just before sunrise. You'll find them just at the foothill of the mountain, but then during the night they spend most of their time grazing on the plains. So that's when we typically see them. If you're lucky and you see them against the rock face of the mountains or the slope of the mountains during the day, they are going to be relatively static, but still very cool to see them. I love those guys. The Birchall zebra as well, with us not seeing a lot of them around here, it is always a special sighting to have. And they are going to be very happy about the grass starting to grow. I can hear a red-crested coron also starting to vocalize now. There's a couple of eastern clapperlarks doing their thing around here. Quite cool, the sound that they make, that flapping of the wings against their chest cavity, and then that little whistle when they come down. Very, very cool. Quite a distinctive sound, especially early in the mornings here in Tswalu. There they go. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, guys, I think what we're going to do is we're going to keep going and see if we can't find some fresh lion tracks. They haven't been seen yesterday morning because we came to look for them, as well as yesterday afternoon no one saw them. So we're going to move on and see. They had to have come through, after the rain. The males had to have come and remark their territory. So we're going to go and have a look and see if we can't find some fresh lion tracks and follow up on that. This one looks like a fawn-colored lock. Yeah. Oh no, you're right. Look at that. That's pretty cool, eh? Are we off?
I'm not sure. I thought you got phones.
Yeah. No, I didn't. As if, yeah, look at how cute that little bird is. That's the eastern clapperlark that I told you about. He's sitting on the treetop over there. And there he's doing his little thing. Very, very cool. There's another one going now. Look at also how beautiful you can see the sunrise, coming through on those mountains. Just stunning. Very, very cool. But yeah, I think let's start moving on and see if there's anything that the bush has to offer. If there's anything that we do find which is of interest, we'll obviously let you know. But I mean, if you guys are still following us, we're going to have a look and see. Sometimes these lions like to come through over this road. It's actually quite a good road for us to use to try and pick up on the lion tracks. So quite a popular road to come into their territory, just because they are moving over this road quite frequently. So we're gonna let you know if we do find something, okay?
A beautiful snake eagle for you. Sadly, it flew away. Yes, even the birds don't want to enjoy the wet morning. Now, hyena dens are not active, and luckily, because we have so many feeds across Africa now, you don't get to see the Djuma presenters get frustrated. Remember those days? You used to watch us go and lose our minds. It's very frustrating why the hyenas are not out. I visit morning and afternoon, at the start of drive and at the end of drive. So it's a different time and a different temperature, and I cannot seem to catch them. So I don't know what's going on with the Djuma clan. The adults are probably really busy stealing kills from all the wonderful predators we have around here, and I just cannot seem to catch the den active. But luckily you don't have to watch those frustrations anymore. So we have arrived to Treehouse Dam. Let's take a look and see if anything is going on at Treehouse. This is the dam that we have with this sort of cleanest source of water, believe it or not. And this winter, the water did not dry up. We actually had an incredible summer last year, and it meant that the water didn't dry up, and during winter, all the dams, Treehouse, Buffelshoek and Twin Dams, remains completely full. Can you hear the lapwings getting very upset with me? Lana, good question. There's actually not crocodiles in this dam. And I'm not sure if there ever has been. We have a lot of crocodiles, Nile crocodiles in Chitwa Dam, and I believe there was one once in Buffelshoek Dam and Gowrie Dam, but this particular one, no. Crocodiles can move. They've got the ability, they've got 4 legs and they've got sharp claws to give them traction on land and that powerful tail to help them swim. So they're adapted to both environments, but they're a reptile. So really, as with most reptiles, it's not so easy for them to move. They're ectothermic, as I always mention, and they're powered by the sun. Their energy source is sort of very different from ours. And reptiles generally don't move great distances. They're not known for migrating. Birds migrate, mammals migrate, fish migrate. With the exception of turtles, of course. Turtles are reptiles, but they live in the ocean. They're oceanic, and the sort of leatherback makes great migrations. Oh, I've got a thick knees here. And the turtles generally actually move great distances from their natal grounds, and they return to their natal grounds. So with the exception of turtles, generally speaking, reptiles don't migrate. They tend to estivate or brumate when it gets cold and stay in the same place. This poor thickney is getting chased. It's a water thickney. Long legs, supermodel legs. And I don't think the blacksmith lapwings don't really like to have anyone around. They get angry at the hippos, they get angry at the cars, they get angry at the elephants. But these thickneys call, I think it was calling along with the blacksmith lapwing at the very start, is more like a dee 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 dee. Okay, that was not very good. I can probably play it on my app for you. The birds are far enough away. Let's see. There we go. That's from my app. But the birds are at the other side of the dam, so more than far enough away. And that's the call of the water thickney. Now, they're also ground nesters. They nest in sort of shallow scrapes, normally on the sand rather than in the mud. And it's normally... Oh, what have you got? Have you got a millipede? Wow. This bird just got a millipede and it's stabbing it. Poor millipede. Live hunt happening right here. Wow. Now, millipedes, of course, have a really hard exoskeleton. This cannot be an easy snack, and it's curled up into a tight coil, which means the only part of the body that's exposed is the really hard exoskeleton, that shell, that calcareous shell. It's not going to be easy to get to the insides of this insect. Jenny, that is question of the morning. Thank you for making me chuckle. The naming of animals sometimes absolutely baffles me. I'd love to meet these humans that decided to name some species the way they have. But you're asking why are birds with such skinny legs called, well, thick knees? They're not really called thick legs, but I hear you. I don't know if we're able to zoom in, Niels, maybe on the one on the left. And you can see the knees are actually quite prominent. They're quite thick, and that's probably because they have such long, skinny legs for being around the water, and their knees will be protected by some sort of biological material, tissue, maybe even cartilage, I'm not sure. But other than that, Jenny, I'm not sure. I think they could have possibly have came up with a better name than thickney for these birds. You can get creative, you know. The one that upsets me the most is a brown-headed parrot, but we won't go there. Have we just left this millipede alone? Yeah. I mean, they are specialised birds at hunting all sorts of organisms, from crustaceans like crabs, beetles, frogs, insects, mollusks, and even fish. So that's a huge range of organisms for the prey. So they will be very specialised in getting through those hard exoskeletons. Crustaceans have hard exoskeletons. Beetles, insects, any insects have an exoskeleton. So they must be very specialised at getting through that and getting to the soft, yummy tissue inside. in bed, you're completely right. They're very camouflage. I mean, if Niels was just to zoom out just a little bit to give you a wider view, you're very difficult to spot. Normally you hear them before you really spot them. See, they just blend in. See that? Oh. Oh, we're running. They do stand out against the green vegetation, of course, against the grass. But they really, really blend in. Male and females are completely alike, so I could not tell you from here which ones are male and which ones are female. Okay, I think I am going to head to one of my favourite places on Djuma now, and that is Mrs. Stepwick's house.
So, alrighty, guys, we are just at the moment, you know, sometimes you have to stop and enjoy the little things in the bush. And I mean, just the fact that that sun is coming out over that mountain is making me feel happy. It was quite chilly this morning, so having that sunrise and feeling the heat on your face after a couple of days of rather cold weather, you know, just fills your batteries. Stunning, you know. As a guide, you get to see sunrises and sunsets quite often, and you know, never gets old. Every day is a different story. Just beautiful. And it's almost as if the bush starts waking up as soon as that sun comes out as well. You can hear all the birds singing. Even the trees are looking a little brighter at that time. Obviously because of the light, but I do think it's because they're also starting to do their daily operations. There's a couple of lapwings that's not happy about something. I don't think they're particularly mobbing anything. We just had a question from Tyler. How often do we get rain weather in Tswalu? Tyler, not so much. You know, with us being a semi-arid area, we have about 250 millimeters of annual rainfall. Now, to give you an idea, not yesterday, the day before, we had about 25 to 30 mils. So that's more than 10% of our annual rainfall already. So we've got, we don't typically have storms which drops down and it buckets 100 mils. So we typically have 5 mils here, 10 mils there, things like that. So I'd say about 20 times, maybe over a season, where we have rainy weather. Sometimes it starts to drizzle, but it doesn't even fill up a millimeter. So it's not as much. We mostly have sunny, open sky days. And so, yeah, they're quite nice. You know, it's not that you have to run from the rain that often. However, you know, it is always good to get the rain. It's life-giving. We have had years where there's times in 2017, that was before my time here in Tswalu, but I've spoken to some of the other guides, and they've told me that in 4 or 5 days, if I'm not mistaken, they had almost 400 millimeters of rain. So, you know, that's a freak storm coming through. It was so hectic. The roads were flooded. There was almost rivers forming on the road, so no one could go anywhere. They had to drive around the reserve to get to another gate to get in, and so on. So, you know, that's always special to see that as well. But typically speaking, in a year, I'd say about 20 times we'll have clouds moving in, you know, and doing something, starting to drizzle, starting to rain, all of those things. But typically speaking, not every time the clouds move in. Like today, I mean, there is a little bit of cloud cover coming through. It's not, you know, you can see it's not going to do anything. Lauren just had a comment. Every African sunrise is so stunning. Lauren, you are absolutely right. It is incredible. And, I think we are particularly blessed with having the mountains and then here and there the clouds and, in certain aspects, complete flat Kalahari sand. So, I saw a little picture once and said there was this beautiful blood red sky with clouds on top and the sunrise, and then the photo was taken from the different perspective, and it was just, looking the other way, and it was just dull and grey and so on. And it just said, life is as good as the direction that you look in. And, we are very happy to be able to look in every direction, and it is beautiful here at Tswalu.
Beautiful, thanks Morris. So we now sitting here with such a beautiful antelope and impalas around in this area. I came here decided to actually take a moment just to see what their reactions are. Because sometimes also, whenever they're not happy, they may run around or alarm call. It doesn't seem to be anything like that happening right now. All we see is just push one another. These young males, they're still within the group over here of the females. Haven't actually able to move off yet. There's a big male, probably the one controlling everyone. Some of them, they're caught still puffed up because of the weather. I think it was a little bit freezing last night. Everything's still wet. Beautiful sound of the bird in the background as well, as you're looking at these beautiful animals. Only thing beauty about them, there are always success animal in terms of healthy throughout the winter, summer, weather's dried out here. They are mixed feeder. What you see, they're feeding on this very blunt as a browsing, but sometimes they go feed grasses, eat grass. Clay, good morning. No, they're not actually smallest antelope, but a kind of a medium antelope we have. So we, in this area, no, we don't have a dik, and we have a steenbok, which that is very small antelope. And the other one, which is slightly bigger than steenbok, it's grey duiker. So impala, they are actually medium size in terms of all big or small antelope around. And we don't have black face impala out here. These are all common impala that you see right there. And you look at their skin, see how it's all fluffy, trying to prevent themselves from little wind that's blowing right now. Condition like this, cloudy, gives them a lot of energy to move around, able to get nutrition from grasses, wet grasses, which makes them not to go down to drink quite often. Although there would be a water everywhere in one of these puddle of water everywhere they go, don't have to depend on one water hole all the time. So I'm going to carry on with my trekking, and I'm going to be taking you over another location.
Good morning, Mrs. Wig. I see little Wiggy there. I see the movement. Lots of movement. Now, I know I'm guessing, but I think we're on day 6. And I've been telling everyone, there's a process of development. That's why I'm coming here every day. I'm trying to get the day-by-day developmental stage. And I have a lovely diagram here for you that I drew, so please don't judge me. I completely copied a book. I am taking no credit from this work whatsoever, but I don't own the book. It's by Alan Kemp and Simon Colburn, and it's called The Owls of Southern Africa. So I copied. No credit, but I can't show you it on my phone. So here, this is day 1, and this is where we're still at. So I'm going to try and hold it so it doesn't blow in the wind. And here, this is my beautiful drawing. Do not judge me. Of basically what we're looking at. A very underdeveloped altricial little chick that can barely move. And I'm going to read out the text that was in the book. So maybe we can go a little bit closer, Niels. You can see at this stage, the somewhat reptilian, I'll come back to that, the reptilian word, little creature, eyes still closed, is a picture of helplessness. The first down is fine and short and lightly dense over most of the body. Now, the egg tooth, I'm going to point to the second diagram, is obvious. This is a tooth that it uses. It's normally temporary. Reptiles have them too, especially turtles, a very obvious one. And the main brain covering the ears, which you can't really see in my terrible diagram, is obvious. Now, locomotion is achieved by paddling with the rudimentary wings and pushing with the feet. So I think that's just what we witnessed here. And the bird cannot lift its head. Now, if we go back to this top diagram, you can see the head is really large and it's disproportionate. So they say that they don't have any control over their head at this stage. And when they try to lift it, it's completely wobbly. Now, in my app, it said the eyes open after 7 days. Okay, Niels? But in this book, it says day 4. So I think this is the sort of rough guidelines. Okay, Niels? So the eyes don't... the eyes don't immediately just come to day 7 and go, ding! No, it's a very slow process. They're coated in very, very sticky substance, and anywhere between day 4 to 7, they're going to slowly start to ping open. So I've not managed to see the chick's eyes today, but we can sort of guess that it's at day 5. And I think when we start to see it, maybe, actually, I think it's day 6, maybe tomorrow or the next day, if we get any views of it, it's going to start to open its eyes. Now, a few of you are saying his eyes are open, his eyes are open. They're not. They're really not open. When they open, they will really be open. Now, I'm going to show you day by day. I'm going to draw these drawings from the book because I have no other way to show you. But don't judge my artistic work. And we're just going to go through the development. So after tomorrow, I'll have another diagram for you and we'll be able to see how this chick is doing. This is the most detailed description of a spotted eagle owl development that I have found. And the book is beautiful. I just don't own it, which is very sad. It belongs to a dear friend of mine. And when it says reptilian, that's interesting because the first group of reptile animals evolved around like 320 million years ago. And eventually, over the long period of evolution, the next 65 million years sort of introduced birds. Birds have evolved from reptiles. So they're not just closely related to dinosaurs. Some reading material, some literature will tell you that they are really dinosaurs. And there's lots of features of reptiles and birds that are actually the same. So birds in general, their closest living relative is crocodiles. So you wouldn't see it immediately, but they are actually very closely related in that long line of evolution. So that's when it says reptilian features. That's really what it's referring to. Tom, great question. You're asking about Papa Wig. I love it. He should be. I'm going to get my binos out and just scan around. He should be, because it's daytime. So he hunts during the night, and he's responsible right now for feeding Mama, who will feed Chick. But during the day, I imagine he roosts nearby. Not completely next to Mama, because they've got to remain as sort of cryptic as possible. But I imagine he will be nearby. And they say after day 10, Mum will move from the nest and start to help the male with hunting, leaving the chick on his own. But as I mentioned many times, she won't defecate on the nest, so she must be getting up and leaving Chick at some point, even if it's just by a meter. You won't see her defecate on the little chick or around the nest. But she's doing such a good job. She really is. And we've managed to get some great views of this chick. And I think day by day, we're just going to be able to monitor this development. And I'll keep showing you the wonderful artistic drawings. Don't judge, I'm not an artist. From the book as we go along each stage. But tomorrow, I think, will roughly be day 7. So that's going to be really interesting to come down here. It's been 1 week that we know of, and see if there's been any changes or any movement, if we can get a look at that face and we can start to see the eyes opening. Just like leopards, just like lions, altricial cubs of the sort of predators also don't open their eyes straight away. It takes them a long time to open their eyes and then for their eyes to, well, their sight to develop. And the egg tooth is a feature that normally isn't permanent, it's temporary, and it's to get out of the egg. Because how else do you get out of the egg, really? It's a shell. Now, turtles, for example, is a very soft shell. And it's soft to us, it's leathery to touch, but that doesn't mean an altricial chick is going to be able to get out. So that's why they tear it with this egg tooth. And normally it either falls off or drops off. It's a temporary thing in most reptiles. I walk in the rain. You're saying it looks like it's standing. I doubt it, but possibly. I really can't see how you see that. I just see a movement of a wing. The rudimentary wings. And they're using their wings and maybe moving their feet a little bit. That's how locomotion is achieved at this stage, according to the book. So possibly, I really have not got the best views to be able to see. But it's definitely starting to move a lot more. We're almost a week in, I think. And a week's a long time for development of a bird, but it's got a long way to go. I remember when we found Stepwick at, I'm guessing 2 weeks old, couldn't really stand. Could move feet, could move wings, but really still looked like a ugly little, ugly but beautiful little ball of brown feathers, or grey feathers, sorry. And many of you are asking about the name. Oh, I know. I'm really torn. I think it needs to have wig attached to it. And some of you have sent in some lovely suggestions. Lorwig, I personally like that one, but I won't. I won't do that. Ulwig, I like that one, but I do think we can do better. All you creative people out there, help me think of the new name for this little chick.
Alrighty guys, we found them. It's not the baby ones. It's those ones that are probably about 5.5 months old now. But cubs are cubs, and they are adorable. You can see those bellies are very, very round. So I'm pretty sure they finished a kill during the night. Just after we were looking at the sunset, we actually picked up on their tracks and came up the road, and they went off the road for a little bit, and then David actually spotted something walking way in the distance on the road, so drove there, and we came across these guys. So very happy to see that all 3 of them are doing super well, and that mom's also still looking good. You know, when you look at the cubs, you don't always just look at the cubs, you look at the condition of the mother as well. if her condition is good, you know she's not struggling to raise them, especially when they're looking like that. These three little mouths are going to start feeding more and more as the days go on. So for her to still be in a good condition right now is a very good sign that she's going to be able to provide for them way past when they are eating more and more every day. Obviously, she's got the help of the pride as well. You know, the fact that she's now by herself possibly means that she's going back to the female with that little cubs to see if they don't stash. You know, sometimes they stash their cubs away together. But very good possibility that is the case. But so we found their tracks initially now this morning, along with 3 other lions. Julia, you are absolutely right. I'm actually going to start moving towards them again. You are absolutely right. They are adorable. You know, every time I see them, I have to pinch myself not to steal one. As long as Mom's with, I won't be able to. And but yeah, they are the cutest little things. They are absolutely stunning. And it's, you know, the epic thing about it is to be able to see these animals grow from little fluff balls like this into the lions that they're going to be one day. And if unfortunately one doesn't make it, you know, we feel it almost more than they do. It's always sad. So yeah, guys, we're going to stick with them for a little while, see where they're heading and what they're going to do. And for the meantime, we're going to send you off somewhere else to go and have a look at something else interesting, okay?
So on our pursuit to find these lions, we came to these open areas, and you'll see right in the middle we have a Territorial Wildebeest. And when I say that is often with wildebeest, especially with the blue wildebeest, you find that you get these single males that will be by themselves. And what they're basically doing is they're marking their territory and they're establishing it. And as soon as a couple of females move through, he'll try and keep them together and form his own herd. But look at the view from here. So the view that we're looking west of where we are here at Angola, and you can see the Drakensberg mountain range in the far distance. And after the rain, it's such a clear day, you can see all the way down. Especially you can see some of the ridges on the side of the mountain, some of the bigger trees up towards the crest. Now, we haven't found any more tracks of these lions, but hopefully what we're going to do is we are heading in the directions of those mountains, and that's where we are searching off, just to give all our viewers an idea. But just going back to this wildebeest, look at how he's turning around. Probably something caught his attention, and he looked off to the left. Now, it might be that he was spending most of the evening up in this open area here, because it's harder for lions to sneak up on a wildebeest. And also because he's by himself, he's a lot more vulnerable. Maybe, just maybe, the wind, because the wind is blowing from where he is towards us, he's actually moving into the wind to eventually go down into an area where he can possibly go for water later on to drink. And also imagine down the slope with all the nutrients washing down the grass, it must be so much better going down towards the valley. Kendra, to be completely honest, I'm not too sure how big the population would be, because I mean the area, they can move within the greater area, so there's no fences up on where we are, so they can just move freely. And because of that, there's no certain fixed number. But I do need to say that the abundance of seeing them on a game drive is quite... it's not rare. You do see them almost every day. And you can find quite big herds of them. Probably, or when I say big herds here, it would probably be up to maybe 30, 35 individuals. Won't be the same in comparison to the Masai Mara, especially with the migration, where you find those bearded gnu's where there's thousands and thousands together. But I mean, in this area, a decent size of 30, maybe even more, is considered a big herd within the area. But most of the time when you're driving, you might just find these lone territorial bulls in these open areas. So yeah, he's just turning around. You might just notice what he's doing now. Every time he feeds, he'll sometimes take his feet and he'll scrape it through the soil. And what he's doing is just putting his scent on the ground. But I'm just going to sit here and just enjoy this beautiful view for 1 more or 2 more minutes and then carry on with our lion search.
Alrighty guys, so we've gone around, long way around, to try and get them to come towards us, and have a look at how cool this is. You know, having lions walking towards you is always a special thing. So we've stopped just off the road and we're waiting for them. They're about 200 meters away still. But as you can see, Mom's pushing the pace a little bit. And the cubs are just having to keep up, having to trot every now and again. I do think she's taking them to, well, hopefully the other female with the cubs are there, but I do think she's taking them to one of the rocky outcrops that's just behind us at the moment, where they like stashing their cubs. It's a very, very good spot for them. You know, it's quite central to the reserve, and or to their territory, and with them then being over there, the mom can actually go in all different directions and be able to get to them with relative ease and in the shortest amount of time. You can see there's a little bit of a jog coming on. I can't believe how, look at how that, it's a little far away, but the cub at the back has picked up a dune bush and he's actually carrying it with him. Look at how he's walking with that branch in his mouth. That became very interesting very quickly for him. You know, it's always stunning to just see how they keep themselves busy. Oh, but it's special to have them. Look at how full that female is, guys. Look at those chest muscles here in front. I mean, she is a beast in a good way. Now you can properly see what what we talk about when we say the Kalahari lions are much larger in, not only bone structure, but also muscular than what you'd find somewhere else. Just walking in the sand all the time, it's so good for them. I'm assuming that every now and again they wish the sand was not that thick and loose when they're a little tired, but I mean, it's really impressive for us to be able to see that. So always, always special. When she does come closer, guys, just bear with me. I won't speak too loud then. I'm just gonna talk like I'm doing right now. But just trying to heading over to a different rocky outcrop now. Or she just wants both vehicles to have a good view. We've got another vehicle joining us on the sighting now, so I think she's going to walk between us so that everyone can see nicely. They're quite cooperative that way. can hear her talking to the cubs as well, just telling them to follow. Very softly though. More just having a conversation. Oh, there was a fly or something that was bugging her now. I think it was probably one of those louse flies. Those things can be irritating, especially when you're a lion and you don't have fingers to grab it. Here's the cubbies coming now. Oh, this is special. And that one at the back has still got the branch in his mouth. It's going to start getting rather difficult now going through the grass. You can see every now and again it's hooking. There we go. Oh no, he's still got it. Thought he made the smart choice. Come on, boy. Oh, guys, this is so cool. See, he's coming to show him to us now. There, he dropped it now. Now that he's realized he's fallen a bit behind Mom. I still can't get over how round those bellies are. That's probably full of meat. And then they had a little bit of milk just to fill all the gaps. So, little balloons that's sticking out underneath their legs at the moment. Look at that. Very, very round. This one looks like a female, actually. Yeah. Very positive to have female cubs also coming through. You know, they're gonna be the future of the pride, so it's always important for that. Carolyn, you're absolutely right. They do have a wiggle in their walk. You know, having those big bellies swinging around underneath them is going to juggle around quite a bit. So yeah, absolute big wiggle in their walk. You can see the mom is actually walking a little bit more steadily. But with them having those big bellies, it's always difficult for them to, you know, keep their balance as it swings around. But yeah, guys, we're going to quickly turn around and try and follow them a little bit more. But like I was saying, with the cubs coming in, it's always positive to have female cubs, you know. I mean, everyone wants to see a male lion because they're big and they're impressive and they've got that beautiful mane. But the females are what is the future of the pride, so that's very important for us to have that. So yeah, we're going to reposition quickly, and then when we've got a good spot, we'll come and show you guys these little cuties again.
So we're just having a look at some elephants. Like this one is disappearing up in front here. I can only see the tail, but there was a whole herd, and all of a sudden it looked like a bull that was coming in, and then suddenly the herd turned around and started moving away. I'm going to go back and hopefully see, so I'm just trying to position myself in such a way that I can see behind me. So let's go back and see if there's any sign of the rest of the herd. They're just off to our left here. Maybe we can get another glimpse of them. So let's just go back, almost there. Unfortunately, we're going to try and see if we can get another gap, hopefully of these elephants.
Beautiful. Looking at these very top trees over here, all these are pretty much beautiful instrumental coming from the guinea fowl. All about probably communication over here. All suffers from the rest of the other birds. What we've got is where it's looking.
We just want to have another look. So we saw that elephant moving off quite quickly. Now we don't know, the rest of the herds also moved. We don't know, maybe they got a fright, maybe there was a predator, could have just been a bull that was causing a bit of havoc within the herd. But we're all trying to find out. Now the last area we saw that other elephant was somewhere up in front here. But we'll just carefully look around. As I said, you never know what could have given them a bit of a fright. Also want to make sure that I don't accidentally surprise this elephant. Oh, there's an elephant right ahead of us in the road. Actually, two of them. Oh, phew. How incredible. It must have been that either the one herd got a spook and then spooked the rest of the other herd. And it might be that the herd is just split up for the moment, but we'll eventually join up because we're not too far from where we saw the others. Let's maybe slowly creep forward and see if there's another gap that we can see these elephants. There are some tracks on the road. I just want to have a look and see what tracks these are. Just looks like the way the elephants were moving. Let's have a look. They moved off to the left, but let's just make sure there's no elephant still coming from the right because we don't want to end up between a herd. I just want to show all the viewers how incredible this is. I mean, we all know elephants, how big they are, and they can weigh a couple of tons. Look how quickly they disappeared. So you can scan anywhere in this bush, you won't be able to see them. You can only hear in the distance how they are moving and some of the branches scraping against their backs, possibly how they're pushing over some of the smaller trees. But they've completely vanished. Now, have a look at the majority of the trees in this area that we're looking at. Now, there's one right in front here that I want to show all our viewers. Now, as I said, I'm still looking out for possibly any elephants. Don't want to get down on foot, especially with the herd being that close. Now, I just want to see if I can pick this tree here. Now, if you notice, like right here, I can actually hear those elephants. Now, if you look here, you'll notice there's some like a velvety grey colour on these leaves, even like under. I'm just hearing those elephants. I wonder if there's a bit of commotion on that side. But you'll notice the velvety side underneath as well. Now this tree is known as a silver cluster leaf. Now if you were in the bush and you had to make a really strong rope, you can make it from the bark of this tree. So basically you'll just peel it like this and then take all the outer bark off, so like that, and it's a pretty strong rope, and you'll add a few of the fibers together and then twist them onto one another, and then you can weave it into a nice rope. But if I take it like this, it's pretty strong. I mean, this one breaks because it's from a very young branch, but if you had to take the one of the longer branches, you might be able to get a stronger rope out of that. Well, it's a nice tree. So the majority of this area, this tree grows in a very sandy soil. So if you start driving into areas and you start seeing a lot of these trees, the silver cluster leaves, you know that you're getting into an area where it's more of a sandy soil. And you can even see on the road, and in comparison to the clay that we've been driving through, in comparison to some of the granite areas, you'll see it looks like wet beach sand. Hence the marula trees and the silver cluster leaves that we are seeing. See that one right in front, that big tree there. Notice that if you look at the bark, it looks like the bark has these little round flakes that comes off. And very characteristic of a marula tree. For now, there's no other signs of these elephants. We're going to carry on. Then I'm sure elephants do know that. I mean, and it probably would all have to do with the smell as well. But there are very few trees that elephants do not eat, if any. I'm just trying to think. Some of the thorn trees, they actually used to use their trunk, wrap it around and pull it, break the thorns in a certain direction. They break it off and they feed off of it. Even some of the ones that are toxic to us, if we had to eat it, elephants are capable of feeding off of it. And apparently, according to some people, it actually helps for all the internal parasites, to help kill those internal parasites. So I'm not too sure if there would be any tree that they don't eat, particularly in this area. But it all has to do with smell. So let's say if there was a tree with a very strong toxin, they'll be able to pick it up from the smell. No, listen, it's too strong, but they're not going to eat it. Looks like there are some horns in the road. They weren't here earlier on, because I'm sure one of the rangers would have probably moved it. But I just want to quickly go and put a little investigation to see what horns these might be.
Good morning everyone, and welcome to the Masai Mara of Kenya. We have Olalashe and the lioness that was mating yesterday. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Big James. So Olalashe has been joined in by another lioness, and I think it looks like Bahati's mother. So slightly towards the right. Okay, so that's Olalashe and the female that was mating yesterday. But slightly towards the right, there's another lioness sleeping there, and it looks like Bahati's mother. So when you got here, she was up, so I could identify her, and she looks like Bahati's mother. But she's not mating with him yet, so not quite sure if Bahati is still around or not. But that I'll have to find out later. They've only mated twice, which is a very good thing. It's usual, so after every about 10 to 15 minutes they mate. It's still not very warm, so at least it's about 17 degrees Celsius, about 6 degrees Fahrenheit. So as soon as it starts warming up, you'll see the activity changing. So we got here yesterday during the rains, and they were out here in the open. And I tell you, these lions were so disturbed because there's a very big buffalo herd, and it seems like they wanted to come their way. Luckily, because of the rain, it changed the wind direction, and the buffaloes moved to a separate area. Because with that kind of herd, I think it would have been stressful for these two. Because buffaloes are super tough, brave. Whenever they see lions, they can always force them out and at least charge. And that's evident where sometimes lion cubs fall victim to buffaloes sometimes. And you find that the first litter, about every 40% of the lion cub population don't make it to adulthood, such as because of buffaloes, hyenas, and other lions. Remember, coming to you live here in the Masai Mara. For a question and comment, hashtag Wild Earth. For our young viewers, kids question at wildearth.tv. And the YouTube comment section at FC. There's a lone elephant there. It seems like the one that I saw yesterday hanging around that area. That's a big bull. I saw him with about 4 other bulls. And because it rained, so it's still wet and very fresh around there. So they always enjoy most animals enjoy after the rains. So that bull has been hanging around there for about 10 hours, I say. Soon we'll start seeing elephants walking towards the marsh, where it's a very, very nice activity, seeing all those families gathering together at one spot and then split up in the afternoon when they go to their respective restful night places. So as I wait and watch these lions, let me take you over to another live location.
Alrighty guys, so they've changed direction. They heard another lion calling. They've changed direction slightly, I think, because as we went around the kopje to the rocky outcrop to see where they were going, they actually changed, and as we turned around, we saw there was a track for a single female lion moving in the same direction that they are going in right now. And as we're sitting here, I'm hearing baboons calling at probably this female's favorite spot. So it would be great to see if they don't go there, because they're heading straight in that direction, and possibly meet up with this other female, and hopefully the cubs, the small cubs, are there. You can see her looking around. She's listening, not only for the other lion. Oh, look at how cute that is. That is epic. So yeah, those baboons calling, I'm pretty sure they're not seeing these lions. It's a little far. I mean, they would be able to see them, but I don't think it will bother them too much. But I do think they might be seeing that other female, and hopefully the little ones. When I say little ones, guys, it's about, if you had to look at these little cubs, maybe a third of them. That's how big they are right now. So, super small. So I can't wait to see where this female takes us, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be some exciting thing or surprise for us there in front. Oh, this is beautiful. This is so special. I can hear Impala's alarm calling as well. And they are definitely not seeing the lions our lions at the moment. So I am very sure that other lion is there somewhere. So I'm gonna turn around quickly and start following where these sounds are coming from. Luckily, our lions are going in the same direction, so that makes life a little easier. And hopefully see that reunion. Or, with those impalas alarm calling like that she might have been trying or looking to hunt. So let's just see what's going on here. Let's just see. Oh, I love mornings like these. Beautiful sunrise, and then lions. And then while you're looking at the one lion, there's a possibility of the other one arriving on the scene as well. So this is just stunning to be out here this morning. And initially our plans was something else. And that little voice in the back of your head that just says, go for this morning. I think David made the right call. So let's see what's happening over here. We might stop just on the high point and get a little bit of a perspective view of the valley. The lions are still heading towards us on this side, but just to see what's going on here, it does sound like the calls are coming more from over there, somewhere there. But the direction which these guys are moving, they're coming straight like this. So let's just see what's happening. I might just go past this bush so that they don't walk behind that. Yeah, those impalas are not happy. You hear that, Dave? Yeah, they're somewhere around here. There's something happening. Maybe just around the corner. But anyway, we'll see now. See how they're constantly pausing, especially the female. The cubs are doing so as well. But listening to what's going on. It is incredible to see how well trained their ears are. I mean, before we even heard or noticed something was around here, they already changed direction, and that was more than 300 meters away even from where we were standing. So, it's, you know, if we have to compare senses, they would kill us dead when it comes to hearing and smell. Sight, you know, we've got the upper hand as far as color vision is concerned, but then at nighttime they've got way better vision than us again. Yeah, those baboons and impalas are a definite indication that there's something around the corner here, but I think let's follow these ones until they show us what it is. There's just something about a lion moving through long yellow grass like this that makes this scene perfect. So Jack just had a question, how long is the period from mating until the cub's birth? Jack, so their gestation period is about 110 days. So just over 3.5 months, 3 months and 20 days almost. So there you can hear her calling again. Yeah, she's definitely looking for that female. Very short gestation period and very underdeveloped cubs at birth. But lots of them. So you'd find, typically speaking, anything between 3 and 5 cubs in a litter. Long parental care period. It's not like an impala, which drops and it's one baby, and as soon as it dries off, it can do whatever it needs to do, apart from drinking milk from the mom. With the cats, they've got a slightly longer gestation period, a shorter gestation period, but with a very underdeveloped baby. So there's a long parental care. That's why you'd find that the little one stays with the female for up to generally around 18 months to 2 years, depending on the female. You know, sometimes she keeps them with her for longer, sometimes not. You'd find certain females kicking out the cubs at 15 months. I've seen that with leopard quite often. But okay, leopards are naturally more, self-dependent at that stage. Lions, because they're so big and they need to learn to hunt not only by themselves but also as a team, it does make sense for the female to keep them slightly longer. But yeah, this is cool. So of the big cats in Africa as well, indigenous big cats now, the lions are the ones with the longest gestation period. So a leopard goes down to 100, a cheetah down to 90, and then as the cats get smaller, the gestation period does so as well, up until about 60 days. You don't really get them having a shorter gestation period than that. See how they're busy smelling? I'm pretty sure there was another lion coming through here, doing that face. The phlegm and grimace to open up that Jacobson's organ, the highway to the brain, to take up all the chemical messages of whatever message was left there. Let's go a tiny bit forward.
Tony's asking if they're going for a drink after eating.
Tony just had a question. Are they going for a drink after eating so much? Tony, typically, yes, you'll find them doing that. However, now it would seem
Welcome back to the Mara, where our lions are still sleeping, not moved at all. So we think that they're enjoying that warmth. Yeah, it's starting to warm up a little bit, and it's good temperature, good weather for these lands. It rained yesterday, so you find that at this time of the day, you find most cats will be walking out in the open. Normally after the rains, you find that they always crouch in a place where they look for warmth. But after the sun comes out, they all come into the open. So we're expecting to see more lions out in the open. So with the presence of Bahati's mother here, I'm not quite sure, not quite certain if Bahati is still alive or not. But it would be nice to see if Bahati comes with the mother. But sometimes you find that lions will do this to protect their cubs. She's fast asleep. It was a very cold night for her. Leopard lover, thank you so much for your question. You find that most of the time, lions, when they're eating, the sharp teeth get to be sharpened when they're nibbling on the bones, especially on the rib cage. You find that it's very, very strong, and that is what that mostly sharpen their teeth. When they're scraping on bones, that is what sharpens their teeth often. As we were waiting here, we heard a roar coming from the west, and it seems like there's other male lions patrolling. So Lush was a little bit worried. So not sure if those lions might be coming this way. So as I wait to find out what's happening with Bahati's mother, let me take you over to another live location.
Guys, so look at what all the fuss was about. Look at this. Hello, family. That was a little hard, though. So these are those 3 sub-adult females, actually, that we had on the blue wildebeest kill like 2 days ago. Oh, and listen to all those sounds. A proper meet and greet now. This is epic, 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 guys. Look at this. Oh, this is stunning. Ugh. Always. So, okay, we had a question a couple of days ago. Are these females going to... Are they going to join back into the pride? I think we just have our answer. They've always been part of the pride. Oh, shame. This is special. This is so cool. Oh. Yeah, guys. And I mean, this is happening not even 10 meters away from us. So it would have been great if you guys were sitting in the vehicle here with me. The only thing that's better at the moment is I'm pretty sure you're sitting on your couch with a cup of coffee and seeing this as well, which is kind of unfair. Let's see, lots of saying hello and rubbing, and you know, that's a typical thing about the lions. Absolutely, Michelle. It does melt our hearts right here. I mean, just seeing this love being displayed is truly special. Everything pumps a little warmer. It is absolutely stunning. I mean, look at that. You can honestly see the oops, that female almost went for the mammary gland there now. A little bit of cub coming back. You can see how they're still looking around. They're just checking if there's any other lions coming through as well. But yeah, this is just amazing, guys. And you can, like I was saying, you can honestly see how they've missed one another. All of this hellos and everything. Oh. So special. Oops, and there's a little bit of a thorn in the foot. Ew. Those sounds are just the best. Okay. She just saw something. I think, you know what, guys, I think that female actually saw a baboon moving at the foothill of the mountain. I can see all of them sitting and moving along almost the middle of the rock face of the mountain. I can hear them calling now again, just telling the lions they know they're here. Got their own little pavilion of, supporters almost. And there's one little very concerned about what these lions are about to do. They're funny. See this one little cub, I think he was lying just funny on his bum now, so the muscles might have gone to sleep. But he's got a little bit of she's got a little bit of a limp. But you'll see, okay, there, yeah, you see, as he's walking, it's getting better and better. So I think it was just lying on it in a funny way. Mel, can you just repeat that for me, please? So Leopard Lover just had a question. Have we ever seen such affection between lions? I'm gonna be honest, a greeting like this, it's my first time in my life, this much affection. However, whenever lions do meet up with one another again, you will always find them doing something similar to this. But this was truly special, getting as much vocals and, everyone just on top of each other and saying hello and rubbing heads and so on. That was, I don't want to say excessive, but that was the most affection I've seen in a greeting in my guiding career. But like I said, I have seen when they meet up with one another again, they will always rub their heads, give each other a hug, do all of those funny things before, doing what they're going to do right now, continuing in their daily tasks or activities. However, this was truly, truly special, and especially to be able to share it with you guys. We might see it, like I said, for me, it's the first time in my life to see this much affection, and to be able to have that with you, it was just special. But yeah, guys, we're going to just reposition a little bit, see what they are going to do now. I do think they're going to find a spot to lie down, but in the meantime, we're going to send you somewhere else, okay?
So welcome back to the Mara where our lions are still sleeping. So we're going to just watch them because it's a very nice environment here as we listen to the birds just for a moment and take that moment in. Zoe, thank you so much for your question. The lions in the Mara are one of the biggest lions that we have in this ecosystem, including Serengeti, because of the gene pool that we have here. And that is generally because of what they eat, the prey that they always get. So that is also what has made these lions be bigger in East Africa. So we have lots of prey. We have zebra, we have wildebeest. Food, that is what these lions always have, and that has made them become what they are. So people come here to look for these giant lions. So we've seen how big a lasher is whenever he's on a full stretch. So very, very big in East Africa, and because of food supply is high. These lions also have very big mane, and they're known to be lions who have the big dark mane. So across Mara and Serengeti we have lions that have very dark mane, and that is also what attracts most lionesses to mate with them, because they always prefer lions with big dark mane. And for the youngsters, for the lions that have been ousted out or kicked out of their pride area, they always feel intimidated when they come across lions that size with very big dark mane. Also, the help of the mane comes in handy whenever these lions fight, because if two rivals come across each other, they always fight in landing blows on each other with their very sharp claws. So that big mane also helps to cushion that blow. I'm still going to wait here for a little more as I take you over to another live location.
So we've been sitting with this pride of 5 lions this morning. They took down a giraffe earlier and now have kind of started to settle down for the day after eating. I think it's going to be quite a sunny day here. Welcome to And Beyond Pinder. I'm Kim, and behind camera we have got Craig. So yeah, we've been sitting here with these lions, and we've noticed that the one has got quite a horrific cut down her face. Shame, and it's quite deep. It looks like maybe a claw mark, like a claw got stuck in there and tore down, possibly from one of the males that is dominant over this pride, or maybe from one of the other lionesses. But the three younger ones on the left-hand side are the three subadult males that we were actually with yesterday. And we were chatting quite a lot yesterday about whether or not these males are independent yet, or whether they are feeding themselves yet. You can see that they all look quite well fed. And we've also just been discussing whether or not they were involved in the taking down of this baby giraffe. Yeah, I'm not so sure, because by the looks of things, the two females actually look quite a lot fatter than the three youngsters. So it's possible that they actually caught it, and then the youngsters found them and came and, big sigh, came and got involved just in the feeding part. But we weren't here, so we'll never know. But they all look quite content. Bridget, this is one of 3 lion prides on Panda. We've got this pride, which is called the Biala Pride, and then we've got Mountain Pride, which is a pride which is up over the mountains. And then we've got North Pride, which is far up in the north of the reserve. So the ones that we mainly see, especially for Wild Earth, are Mountain Pride and Biala Pride. The rest are up in an area that we can't get to with the camera equipment. Shame, but we were also just chatting about how incredible nature is, and like that enormous cut on that lioness's face. Can you imagine how high these animals' pain threshold must be for her to kind of just go on living as if everything was normal? I mean, earlier she was actually lying on her other side with her face pressed against the dirt, and I don't know, you just imagine how sore that must be. It's like feels all bruised and battered. If it was a human, we'd be out of action for a couple of days, probably in hospital, getting stitches. Yeah, and I think yesterday I was also asked what one of the coolest things about lions is. And, I mean, this is also quite cool. They're just so tough. They can be injured, but they still, they have to survive, and they're not going to get brought dinner to their sick bed. They've just got to make do and carry on going. And that's also pretty epic. But I suppose that's pretty epic for most animals, not just lions. You see sometimes like zebras or any animal really with like these ridiculous injuries, and they're just going on as if everything's fine. You can see the flies are starting to annoy everybody. I'm sure as it heats up, those flies will start to get involved in that wound, which will be quite frustrating for that lioness. But at the same time, that's probably why that wound still looks so clean. I think we might get a little bit of movement out of these lions. They might just get up and move to a different patch of shade, seeing as theirs is getting smaller and smaller as the sun rises. But we'll send you to another live location while we sit and wait.
So guys, talking about an irritation, look at this audience that the lions have. So they've come and laid down now at the foot of this mountain, and the baboons have followed them, actually playing a little game. The youngsters are playing a little game of dare to see who's the bravest, who can get the closest to the lions. And every time one edges a little closer, he gives a yelp and then runs away back to the to the safety of the rocks. So quite cool. But there you can see the lions now, both the cubs and the now only one of the young females, having a look at what these baboons are up to. The third cub is just on the left-hand side. We can't see it right now, but he's also checking out the audience, and you can hear how they're yelping the whole time, the baboons. Quite cool to see that. Just beautiful this morning. But yeah, I do think this is going to be where they are going to be planted for the day, the lions now. The baboons might lose interest after a while and then move on. There you can see how all of them are just also enjoying the sighting. A little bit of a stress factor added, but they're very intrigued about what these lions are up to. Very, very cool. It's always nice to see, the interaction between two different species. Seeing lions by themselves is great. Seeing that meet and greet that we had earlier is even better. But having these baboons with the lions and hearing them call and seeing how they're trying to edge closer and just watching what the lions are doing, that's what makes this truly spectacular. Oops, there's another one coming up. Not happy about these lions. There you can see they're starting to relax now. There's some that's still a little paranoid, but most of the larger individuals, the older ones, they know that these lions are not a threat to them and that they can, continue with their daily activities. Liv just had a comment, it's always so amazing to watch baboons, and Liv, you're absolutely right. It's like an elephant sighting. There's always something happening. Never a dull moment. Either the babies are being up to, or the young ones are being up to no good, or the adults are busy foraging. Also, it's incredible to see how they operate. Look at that one. I mean, it's something that we can overlook sometimes, driving in the bush and you're like, okay, there's another baboon. And it's so wrong. To just come and switch off the vehicle and be able to spend some time with these guys. Look at how those guys are toying with the little one. It's just truly, truly special. Now the big fuss now is the one female lion is moving. That's why all of them are all of a sudden calling. She's moving to where Mom is lying. And I do think that she might just drop down there again. They're saying hello again. She's not in the mood for them. I think the female, the mother, is actually quite happy about the fact that the other three youngsters are here now, because then they can actually do, take care of her little ones while she relaxes a little bit. I think these guys are quite the busybodies when it's only her that needs to keep an eye for them. She's not too happy about the baboons being around. She knows the threats that they pose for the cubs. So Marion, good question. Would baboons be of any danger to the lion cubs? Yes, absolutely. This little spot right here is actually a very quite a favorite spot for this female to be able to, stash her cubs in the rocks just where we're sitting right now. So if she has to leave them here and go out to hunt, It's a very good possibility that if these baboons come across them, they will kill them. You know, it's one less lion to worry about in the future. If you think about it, if these baboon troops can go after something like an adult leopard, female leopard or so, and kill them for something like a 5-month-old lion cub, it is absolutely a threat. So they are of danger, and that's why Mom is not too happy about them edging closer and closer. If they do come any closer, I do think she might give them a little, you know, just a warning. However, I think they're smart enough not to do so. But let's say if it was an option for her to leave these little guys in these rocks and try and maybe go to hunt this afternoon a little later or so, I think that option has just been cancelled out with the baboons being around here. So definitely, very good question, and absolutely they are a threat. So it's something that they need to, the mother needs to keep in mind when choosing spots to leave her cubs unattended. Definitely don't want to lose one of these little guys. Not to a baboon. Well, not in general, but I think they're getting to that point now where you can see Mom's up again. The one little one actually went and tried to drink milk, but their teeth is now getting to that point where it's hurting them. So I do think that if they don't practice a little bit of caution, those cubs are going to hurt her quite a bit. You'll see now. See how she's not too happy about that cub coming to drink. With them growing larger as well, their milk consumption will go up. So she'll also only produce as much milk as she can. But if they want more, they're going to get a little impatient with her, and they might start nibbling and biting, and even with those claws pushing against her belly, which is going to be very uncomfortable for her. So at this point, I think they've got maybe another month of proper milk drinking left before she'll slowly start weaning them off, and they'll only be a little bit of disciplining going on. But as soon as they really get to that point where they're pushing her to the extreme, which is very close to now, they're going to be put on an exclusive meat diet, and then her milk production will go down again. So they need to enjoy all the sweets they can for the time being. It's not going to last much longer. Oh, such a busy sighting. You can see those little ones are absolutely up to some mischief at the moment, and the adults are not taking it. That's why there's now all of this vocalization and screaming and chasing around and all of that. You can see how the little ones have been actually put up into the tree. And at that stage, guys, they are the most naughty of animals that you will find. With them being so intelligent, they're just testing the boundaries always. Always, always, always. So you can imagine what a mission it must be for the adults to keep them in line. This is special. There's one very brave baboon. Just here. He's standing behind a little tree now. I just saw him move him. Actually missed him now again. Where are you? Oh, there he goes. Oh, he's very close to the lions now. If you had to draw a straight line, probably about 35-40 meters from where the lions are lying down. But he's got that rocks in between him and the foot of the mountain, so if needed he will be able to escape rather quickly. But he's definitely setting the tone as to who can get the closest to these lions. Kaboof. There we go. Lookout point established. It's almost as if he's looking back at the rest of the troop saying, who's going to top me? So we just had a question from Starlight Ann. How many calls do a baboon have, or does a baboon have? And I'm going to lie to you if I tell you the exact number. I know for a fact that vivid monkeys have been recorded having over 29 different calls. Now, with the baboons being a monkey as well, and being so intelligent, I would not put that number very far away from that. So, anything I'd say between, let's say, 20 and 30 different calls for different dangers or different communications. Most of the time when you hear them calling like they are right now, you know, that very loud one, it is for danger. Or when they're waking up in the morning, just telling everyone, hello world, we are here. But it would be, those calls would be more specific to different types of danger. So let's say, for instance, something like a lion would have a certain call. Something like a snake will have another call. And depending on which situation they are in, they'll use those different calls for the different scenarios. So yeah, I'd say probably around between 20 and 30 different calls. However, I'm not 100% sure. But like I said, for a fact, I know that vivid monkeys have been recorded having up to 29 different calls. And it's possible that they actually have more. But just looking and listening to the sounds that they make in different scenarios, they've recorded 29 different calls with the vivid monkeys. We unfortunately don't have vivid monkeys in Tswalu, however. I think it's a little too dry for them, not enough fruit and insect production to support them as well, especially during the dry times of the year, and fresh water for that matter. But yeah, guys, you can see the baboons are starting to, it looks like they're moving on slowly along the rock face of the mountain. We're going to stick with these lions for a little bit, see if there's something interesting happening. And if there is, we're going to come back and show you.
So we're having a look at a bird of prey here that is possibly after the rain. There might be a few insects that have come out that are feeding off the insects. Now, I'd love to know from the viewers what bird of prey this would be. Now, what's very interesting is look at the gape. So if you look at the eyes and especially around the beak, and you also look at the feathers that extend all the way down towards the feet. Like, I would love to know what are some of our viewers' thoughts in regards to what bird this might be. But in the foreground, I just want to take my binoculars. There's some starlings. Look like Cape Glossy starlings. And it could be that there's a few of the termites that have come out, and that's what they're after catching at the moment. You can see just the way they're looking around. So I've heard some of the viewers might think that is a tawny eagle. It does look like a tawny eagle, and I agree. There are a few other ones that I often want to just have a look at. I mean, for example, like the lesser spotted eagle, possibly the steppe eagle. But just judging by those characteristics, I don't know if it's in regards to golden eagle, we don't really get golden eagles here. Or based on my knowledge, I'm not too sure. But from the eagles that I do know, that most likely the one that we are looking at is probably going to be that tawny eagle. Oh, there's even a fork-tailed drongo. It might have been one of those, as they refer to as flying ants. As it came out, you can see the one just grabbing. Oh, or maybe it's not even. It looked like it could have even been a beetle of some sort that the drongo was after. But what's interesting, there is a termite mound near where that bird of prey is sitting, and he's basically waiting for the termites to come out and then catch them. So I'm going to try and reposition the vehicle a little bit, so bear with me. I'm going to move a couple of meters forward, and we'll be able to see as it's picking away at those termites as they emerge. Eagle has just gone and sat up at the top of the tree, but if we're going to spend some time here, hopefully it will come back and we'll have another look at it. But definitely an incredible sighting of watching these birds and the way they just patiently wait around for these termites to come out and then catch them.
Just sitting here admiring this male giraffe. I think this male giraffe is in his prime. He's very, very large in all areas, and he's bending over. Look at that neck, almost at a 90-degree angle. And this just shows you that although giraffes do have a long neck and they can reach up for food, they can also bend down for food. They're not restricted to sort of vegetation that's higher up. And the necks for sex theory is actually said to be one of the strongest for the reason that giraffes do have long necks. Rather than just to read, as a height advantage, shall we say, it can also be to impress the ladies over time. But then there was a little bit of disagreement over that as well, because ladies also have long necks. So are the males really impressing the ladies if they also have the same function? But in terms of sexual selection, they thought that maybe the sort of necks evolved that way to be longer and reach certain lengths for males to club. And then maybe through evolution, the sort of long necks took over, and that's how females, evolved them as well. And in terms of sexual selection, what does that really mean? Well, Charles Darwin obviously came up with the theory of natural selection, and that's basically the process where species change genetically to become increasingly better fitted to their environment. So those traits that suit the environment, no matter what environment, that looks delicious, doesn't it? Whatever environment they're in, that those traits that are the strongest and the most viable and the ones that are suited to the environment will be chosen. And that's natural selection. But with that theory, there's a sort of challenge, because males and females differ so much, especially in their genitalia. And in most mammal species, most, not all, males are larger, and they can sort of possess different structures, shall we say. So is there something else at work other than just natural selection? And Charles Darwin actually concluded that there must be another process other than natural selection pushing males to evolve either a larger body size or weapons. Or when I say weapons, I obviously mean horns and antlers and all these things, not actual weapons, or any sort of disposition. There has to be something else at work. It can't just solely be natural selection because of the difference between male and female. So Darwin then called it sexual selection, the traits that have evolved because mating is so crucial in sexual reproduction. We're not talking about asexual reproduction here, obviously, that these characteristics are the sort of things that make an individual sexually successful. And therefore, we call that sexual selection. So when it comes to giraffe necks, yes, it gives them a height advantage, absolutely. But it also allows males to club one another when competing for the females. I think this is one of the most handsome boys I've ever seen. So it's one of the theories is that it's an evolutionary tool for sexual selection. But again, that was debunked because females have long necks too. So it's not really known why giraffes have evolved this way to have the sort of ridiculously long neck. And their entire biology and their entire skeleton has had to adapt for that reason. Because, I mean, bending down is complicated. Look at this giraffe. His neck is at 90 degrees. Now, for humans, it's not that complicated, but for giraffes it is, because their brain sits about 5 meters above the ground. And their brain sits about 2 meters away from their heart. And their heart is said to be pumping about 60 litres of blood per minute. So when they bend down, in order to sort of counteract a potential flood of blood, completely crash the system, get dizzy and collapse, the giraffes actually have a really specialised network of capillaries which dilate and constrict in order to control the blood flow to the brain when they're bending down. Or they would get a head rush. Have you ever had that? Oh, it's a horrible feeling. A giraffe couldn't possibly survive with a head rush every time it bends down. Lisa, I hear you. If only humans had those eyelashes. Female humans. Males don't deserve long eyelashes, do they? We have to make do with fake ones or mascara. But look at those gorgeous eyelashes. And of course they have a function. The eyelashes are not there just to make this beautiful male look even more handsome. They are actually there to protect the eyes, because giraffes are known to bend their heads into all sorts of trees with thorns and spines and hooks, that therefore the long eyelashes protect them against us. Now I think if I just move forward a little bit, Niels, we might get a better view rather than just his big fat tummy. That's a slightly better view. But yes, Lisa, I hear you. And it's not just the capillaries, sorry, that's what I was saying. It's not just the capillaries, a specialised network that giraffes have. They also have specialised valves in their neck. And all of these sort of biological adaptations are to stop this giant head rush when a giraffe bends over like this. And there was a belief for a long time that giraffes have huge hearts in proportion to their size. But actually a giraffe's heart isn't any bigger than that of a similar sized animal. It's directly proportional, but the walls of the heart, the walls of the chambers of the heart are extra thick. Yes, they are thicker than other mammals, and that's to deal with the immense pressure that's going to build up, especially in the lower half of the circulatory system, because giraffes are said to register about twice the blood pressure of other mammals. So it didn't just evolve this long neck for whatever reason that we're not sure of. Is it natural selection, sexual selection, whatever reason? They've had to sort of evolve lots of other adaptations to survive with this neck, just including even the way they walk, not just their heart and their brain and capillaries and valves, even solely in the way they walk. They have that unique walk like a camel. 2 legs on one side, 2 legs on the other side, 2 legs on one side, 2 legs on the other side. And that's for balance. Now, they wouldn't need to balance if they didn't have this ridiculously long neck and tall body. But because they do, they've got to make sure they're always balanced. And that's why they have this unique walk, just like a camel. And that's actually where they get their Latin name, Giraffe camelopardalis. Camel like leopard. That's kind of what the Latin name translates to. All Latin names have a meaning in the animal kingdom. Kim, me too. You can watch giraffes all day, me too. Originally, I didn't always find giraffes so fascinating, I'll be honest, but it's really when you dive into their survival strategies, their biology, these sort of unique specializations that they have. They're remarkable. all animals, all organisms are actually remarkable once you start to learn about them. But giraffes are really wonderful. I don't think it can be particularly easy being that tall. And here they are, surviving. But we are going to let this handsome boy be for the morning and continue on our search for other animals.
Good luck, Lorraine. We came to a good level sit down, and we've got quite a few people here in this water hole. But in this one that is raining right now, it looks like there's a little bit of a visual of a young one, which I think was just probably born maybe 2 days ago. We may actually have a big one soon.
We are just about to leave this boy, but apparently Andrew has disappeared. He has evaporated. Come back, Andrew. So we'll stay with this boy after all. Now, many people ask, how do you know it's a boy or a girl? I really don't think I need to point it out. But when you have the right view, it's very, very obvious. Yes. Genitalia is extremely obvious, where really you don't have to second guess yourself. But when you can't have that view, that wonderful view, then yes, it can be a little bit more tricky. But we're definitely looking at a boy, and judging by the size of his genitalia and the size of his body mass, I think this is a male in his prime years. He's not an old bull, and he's not a young bull. I think he's right in his prime. See, look at that neck. That's actually further than 90 degrees. I would say that's like 100 to 110 degree bend. It's incredible. And going back to their body structure, how do they stand upright? So we spoke about their necks and how they actually avoid getting giant head rushes and collapsing. How do they stand upright? How does the neck hold itself? Well, basically, they have really, really special ligaments. So they have 7 vertebrae, just like us, C1 to C7, exactly the same number of vertebrae, but obviously the space in between each vertebra is much larger than ours, of course. And on the sort of back of the neck, on the top side, that big hump that you can see, or you could see before he decides to disappear, is called the nuchal ligament. And this is a huge ligament. And there's also a system of really thick muscles which anchor this ligament into place to take the weight off the shoulders. I think I'm going to have to actually move here. The giraffes... Nope, he's moving. Shoulders could not possibly take that weight alone, so there's an entire network of muscles that anchor this really huge ligament in place, and it helps hold him upright so his neck doesn't fall over. Now, we really are going to leave him now and see what else we can find.
So, alrighty guys, we've reached a certain level of relaxedness around the lions at the moment. You can see there's only that one that we're looking at right now, and then one right here next to the vehicle that's still got their heads up, but for the rest of the time, flat cats. Well, the adult lions are flat cats. The little ones are flat with a little bulge in the middle. You can see those bellies very, very round. I love how that one on the right-hand side is lying.
So we currently just decided to come and stop at this beautiful waterhole. So this is where we had elephants swimming in yesterday. But if you look at the very back of the waterhole, there's an antelope moving away. And notice the very distinguished white ring around the bum. So it's a waterbuck, but what's strange is that there's not a lot of others around. Now, normally the males are the ones that tend to be by themselves, but the female, they'll tend to be around, possibly other ones. But the other might have already gone and had a drink and now slowly feeding in the tree line just left of where this waterbuck is. You can see the direction she's looking in might even be where they are at the moment. I'm trying to have a look. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of other animals around at the moment, but there's quite a few birds. Now, if we follow that waterbuck is moving off, if we follow the tree line down along the water's edge, you'll see there's just right there, right in the middle of the screen down towards the water's edge, you'll notice there's what looks like an Egyptian goose. And even coming down more towards us and slightly left along the bank is another Egyptian goose that's closer. And then, of course, right in front of us here, there's a little blacksmith lapwing, but we'll try and see. He's moving quite quickly, so we'll try and see if we can frame him up. But there's the other Egyptian goose down towards the water's edge there. And then just want to focus on this blacksmith lapwing, if he allows us to, because he's moving so close. I don't know if we're able to get a shot of him. There he is. Notice the dark colors with the white. As I was about, it normally works like that. As soon as you try and explain about a bird, then they decide to fly off. But where the bird gets its name from is because the sound it makes. It sounds like if a blacksmith had to hit a piece of metal on an anvil. It sounds exactly the same. It's like the dink, ka-dink, ka-dink, ka-dink. So, very interesting sound. And then right in the middle there, we have some hippos in the water. Luckily, they're not disturbed today by the elephants. But just imagine, even with these hippos, they probably would have been feeding the whole evening on some of the lush green grass. Remember when that waterbuck was moving, you could see the tint of green at the back. So they would have moved, and they can move quite far, sometimes up to 10 kilometers away from the water, and eventually come back early part of the morning into the water, like we can see now, and they'll rest up here for the majority of the day before they eventually set off again this evening. Trying to follow that little bird in the middle of the screen. So it looks like it might be a red-breasted swallow. Travis, maybe something like catfish. Because this waterhole has dried up a few times, some of the more resilient fish species that you get here would be something like a catfish, because sometimes what they do is they dig themselves into the mud and then they'll go into a state of dormancy where they'll like lower down the metabolism, their heart rate, and eventually until there's a lot of rain and then they'll come out again. But you never know. I mean, with some of the geese, that whenever they fly from one waterhole to another, sometimes the eggs of the fish actually attaches to their feet, and as they land here they could disperse it. So maybe even something like a tilapia as well could be an option for them. But also, this time of the year, maybe some tadpoles. So there's a variety of food sources that are available for them. So there's the blacksmith lapwing moving on the other side of the bank. But from here, myself and Owen will probably start carrying on to see if there's any other signs of the lions in the area. We've tried to search for them, but there's no clear signs. It might be that they've settled somewhere away from the roads where we're able to find the tracks. And because of the rain, there's no tracks crossing over any of the road because it's all been washed away.
The lions walked back up to the carcass, but now they've turned around and gone back down to, I think, where they were earlier. But we did watch as the lioness kind of pulled this giraffe carcass. You can see it's a baby giraffe. I mean, there isn't anything to actually compare it with size-wise, but it was bigger than the lioness. So you can imagine how heavy it is. And she just dragged it across here over like a good 30 to 40 meters with such ease. And it was actually that lioness that we've been looking at with the big wound on her face. So again, just pretty amazing how unaffected she is by that wound. Obviously she has to use her mouth to move this carcass. And I think as it's kind of heating up, she's just decided that she wanted to put it up under a bush somewhere. It was just lying out in the sun. And as the sun bakes down, and it's just going to get stinkier and stinkier. And yeah, she doesn't want anyone to smell it and come in and take it away from her. And she definitely doesn't want to have to be fighting off vultures the whole day. So I think that's why she just came to move it out of the way. She didn't even kind of eat any more of it. I don't think they're very hungry, but she'll definitely carry on eating, or they all will a little bit later on, maybe when it cools down again. But I think let's try and go around and see if we can get another view of the lions.
So alrighty guys, it does not look like we are going anywhere today. Well, as I say that, have a look here in front how inquisitive this lion is. She's actually so close to the vehicle you can't see her. Look at that. Coming to see who we are and what we're doing. But yeah, that was just cool. She was actually smelling the bull bar of the car. These three young females are such a treat to have. David and I were discussing it. There's always, they're always interacting with you and so on, looking you in the eyes and so on. Very, very interested about what is going on with these funny-looking animals driving in this weird thing next to them. But yeah, like I said, it doesn't look like we are heading anywhere soon. There's another female just... like I said, they're so close to the car, you can't even see them at the moment. That's how close she's lying in front of the bull bar of the vehicle. The cubs are still over there with the one young female, and they are absolutely lazy. I think they do, or they will, have to move a little bit now that the sun looks like it might be coming out. If it gets a little warmer, you'll find that they'll seek some shade, possibly in this shepherd's tree that's growing so thick here next to them. Could be that they use that, or they'll just move to a different spot. But yeah, the baboons have completely moved off now, so they are doing their own thing. We just had a question from Ulrich. When do the cubs start eating meat? Ulrich, these cubs, we started seeing them eating meat from around 2.5 to 3 months. Okay, it's difficult to always exactly say this is how old these cubs are unless you see them getting born, which will be very unlikely that happens. So I want to say about 2.5 to 3 months is what we aged them at that time when we saw them the first time feeding on a carcass, which is a good time for them to do so. You know, they've had mum's milk now for at least a good 2 months to get strong and healthy and grow and get those teeth developed and all of those things. And then when their digestive system is ready for that, then they'll switch over to the meat. So it doesn't take long. Well, I mean, if you had to put them in human years, I suppose it would be very close to what we would take to start eating solids as well. However, it's very quickly in their life or soon in their life that they'll start feeding on meat as well. Well, we've seen that with those little cheetah cubs that we've been following as well. At around 2.5 months, they started, we saw them on the first carcass. So typically speaking, depending on the individuals, because sometimes you find moms introducing them a little earlier, it's all up to her though. Whether she leaves them behind for a month longer or a month shorter, before they take them to the carcasses physically. But yeah, I'd say a good estimate would be between 2.5 and 3 months. But yeah, guys, we'll stay with these lions a little while longer. Hopefully the cubs will start playing or do something like that. And if they do, we'll come straight back here. But for the meantime, we're going to send you somewhere else.
I seem to be having all the reptilian luck in the world right now, and not much else. Checked on my hyena den once again, and nobody's home. But I'm not bitter, I promise. Anyway, I think we're looking at a male. You can tell by that blue smurf head. And I sort of touched earlier on how reptiles don't really migrate. I mean, the leatherback turtle moves thousands of kilometers per year, but yes, in general, terrestrial reptiles don't really migrate. And I mentioned that. That was rather loud. So yes, that's all to do with the way they get their energy and their metabolic rates. So when the temperature gets low, i.e. winter, when it's cold, low ambient temperatures, the metabolic rates of reptiles are depressed, whereas it's the complete opposite for birds and mammals. Ours are elevated. And this basically means that they can't do much. They can't function well in cold temperatures. So hibernation is a word that we normally use to describe mammals, and it's sort of like a really deep state of prolonged inactivity. Not all mammals can do this, but some. And metabolism and all physiological processes basically slow down. But the body temperature is still regulated. The internal body temperature, because they're endothermic, is still maintained at a constant temperature, and this is due to metabolizing brown fats. So they've got stores. These animals, or these mammals, that hibernate, they have stores, which allows their body to metabolize them and keep generating that heat to maintain the same sort of body temperature. Now, reptiles, they don't hibernate. It's not the correct word to use. They're not mammals. It's not the same sort of hibernation in a physiological sense. And this is because they're not Oh, I think that one just got breakfast. A little ant, maybe. And this is because their temperature's not regulated by metabolism. It's not internally controlled. That's why you can't call it hibernation. And they don't have brown fat. They're not able to metabolize brown fat in order to keep them warm or keep the sort of physiological processes going. And that's why estivate, that's a really prolonged torpor, if you like, or dormancy. And you can use estivation as a word for insects, fish, and even amphibians. So you can also use brumation. Normally you use that word for snakes, and this is basically, again, a long sustained period of inactivity where they'll burrow, they'll go deep. But with brumation and snakes, they can actually stir occasionally when they're really, really thirsty and they need some water. So they don't do this every day, but if their body needs water, they'll come out of their torpor. It's not a deep state of dormancy, and they'll go get water, then they'll come back and go back into what they would call brumation. So it's any sort of state of torpor, but you can't use hibernation for reptiles. Ranley, yes, they bite. They're quite aggressive. I used to have a bearded dragon called Floyd. My dear Floyd are very, very similar to tree Agamas in appearance, but they don't bite, and they're really not that aggressive towards humans. So they're not going to bite me, but towards one another, tree Agamas are very, very territorial and aggressive. And it's not only biting, it's they use their tail. You see that long tail? They can actually swing it using muscular control and whack each other. I can't think of another descriptive word. Whack. And it can cause a lot of injury. So they can whip and whack with their tails, and they can also bite. Very, very territorial, especially in breeding season, as many males are when it comes to the females. Now, I've seen a lot of males around recently. I haven't actually seen females, and you can normally tell because they're not as brightly coloured. As with a lot of animals in the animal kingdom, it's the males that have to be bright to say, hey, chickadees, look at me. I'm the one you want. Advertising. Even in birds, the weavers do it. That sort of breeding plumage. And that's exactly what the blue head is all about. Attracting the attention of the females, saying, I'm the strongest, I'm the fittest, choose me. My offspring will be the best. And obviously tree Agama, the name, it's all in the name. They live in the trees. They're arboreal. You can see he's using his really sharp claws to hang on to the bark and his tongue to get insects. Glenn, I think that name was. I hope I've got that right. You're asking, where do Agamas lay their eggs? Now, although I've just said they live in the trees and they're arboreal, like most reptiles, they actually dig holes in the ground because they need the moisture. If they were to lay eggs in the tree, it would probably mean that there's way more predators that could get access to the eggs, and it's also not moist inside a tree. It's very, very dry, especially in winter. So normally they hatch sort of soft eggs, like most reptiles, and they'll dig a little hole, just like crocodiles, just like monitor lizards, using their claws. They've got really sharp claws, and they'll dig a hole in soft, moist ground. So it won't be inside a termite mound, for example, or it won't be, it's got to be the right soil, and it's got to have enough moisture. And then they'll cover the hole back up again, and they'll let the eggs sort of incubate themselves until they're ready to hatch. Most reptiles lay their eggs this way. But it'll be near the tree, but it won't be inside the tree. They've got incredibly acute hearing, sight, accuracy with that tongue, because they have to catch insects, fast-moving insects, like grasshoppers and beetles. So just like a chameleon, they've got to sort of be really, really accurate when they want to make that hunt. I actually watched a video last night on some social media platform of a chameleon balancing on a power line or a piece of barbed wire, reaching up and managing to catch a dragonfly. So they have remarkable balance. Tree Agamas are very similar. They can really balance on sort of small branches and use that tongue to catch their prey. The wind's really picking up here. Bradwell, you're asking about their predators. Now, of course, living in the tree will give them a lot of advantages to escape predators. But the likes of large raptors, birds of prey, they will capture tree agamas when they can, and larger reptiles. So even like monitor lizards, or they would maybe go for smaller tree agamas if they could find them, or much bigger reptiles would. And I believe the fiscal shrike is actually a predator of the tree agama. And snakes. So, of course, snakes can go up trees. Theo and I found a rock monitor a few months back, slithering its way up a jackleberry in the Mulwati. So that's the main sort of predators. Birds of prey, snakes, larger reptiles, and apparently the fiscal shrike. But living in the tree will offer some protection. Sorry, can you repeat that question one more time? I'm missing the animal. Dizzy Will is asking. Leopard. Aha, there you go. If my handheld radio wasn't standing upright, I missed the signal. Leopards. Yes, they would. Leopards are extremely opportunistic, and they will really eat anything that comes their way, including termites, including any insects. It's not necessarily what they desire, but because of their lifestyle, they're solitary, they've got to fend for themselves. It's the life of feast or famine for a leopard. Yes, they absolutely would. And there's a really fantastic study that analyses the stomach contents of leopards, or the diet. But I think it's from the feces, not from actually taking a dead leopard and analysing the stomach. And there was said to be 92 different prey species that a leopard eats. 92. And it comes in all different orders, from your insects to your birds to your mammals, reptiles, amphibians, and even fish. We had a fantastic sighting with Tingana about 2 years ago now at Chitwa, eating fish, all the fish that had died from a sort of mass die-off. They were lying on the shore. And there was Tingana, the old fisherman, eating all the fish. So leopards will eat absolutely anything. And yes, if they spotted a tree agama and it came their way, they would snap it up for sure. Leopards are commonly seen in trees with monitor lizards, actually. I've never seen one with a tree agama, but they're so small that I'm sure 2 bites and it'll be down the gullet. You see, that head's not as blue anymore. When we first saw it, they can lighten and darken their colours. It's remarkably camouflaged on that branch. It's really the bright blue head that sort of makes you spot them. Megan, you're saying?
Definitely counts to be adaptable.
It definitely counts to be adaptable. Oh, absolutely. You have to. Nothing in nature is static. Nothing. Constantly changing, constantly moving. Evolution's at work. We just don't see it because it happens over a long sort of period of time. Seasons are shifting. Climates are changing. Nothing is static. It's always a strive for balance when it comes. Oh, we've got other little lizard down here, Niels, at the bottom of the marula. I think this is a skink. It's not an agama, but it's right at the bottom of the trunk. Hey, there we go. Another reptile. Another tree reptile. But it's not an agama. You can see it's very, very different. This is a skink. But you can see, if you just look at the feet there, I'm not sure if you're able to get the best views, but you can see that they also have extremely sharp claws. And that's to give them tractions, to make sure that they can hold on to the trees. Two reptiles in one tree. See, I have all the reptilian luck. Oh, there's an ant behind it. I think this is a striped skink, if I'm not wrong. And really shiny scales. You see how much shinier it is. Almost looks moist, but it's not, compared to the tree agama. Now, they're very common out here. It's not necessarily a unique sighting, but they're almost impossible for us to get on camera sometimes. Now you can see this is completely hanging upside down, defying gravity, really. I mean, if this was us, you can imagine Lauren hanging upside down from a tree. It would definitely not be as elegant as this, and I would not be able to last too long before probably passing out. So as we just mentioned, it sort of counts to be adaptable, and these reptiles have adapted to life in the trees. Now, unlike an agama, they're complete opposites. A skink can actually lose its tail. House geckos do the exact same thing. If they get a fright or they need to escape danger, they can sort of self-mutilate. It's not a very pleasant thought to us. And they do it themselves. It's voluntary. They choose to do it. And the official sort of biological term is caudal. Caudal refers to the tail in any organism, even in fish. The caudal tail. The caudal peduncle, my favourite word. It's caudal autonomy. And basically, that's when it's trying to escape predators. The predators coming from behind. So the one part of the body you want to lose is your tail, obviously not your head. I don't think that's a wise idea. And you can apply lots and lots of pressure to the tail, and they can sever that plane. There's a special plane, I can't remember the name of it, it's going to come to me. There's a special plane on the tail. They sever it at that exact point, which means it will regenerate again. Abscission, I think that's it. Abscission plane. I will double check in case I'm lying to you all, but I'm pretty sure that's the plane on the tail where they'd sever it and it will regenerate. Now, someone is asking, why is it shaking his head like that? That's very common in reptiles, actually. In lizards, my bearded dragon did it. The agama does it. The skink is doing it. Rock monitors do it. And it's sort of to do with the sensory perception. They can do it in a territorial manner. Males especially will do it. You'll find when they're being very territorial on a tree or whatever surface they're on, they'll bob their head up and down. But all their sensory organs, because the main sort of sense for a reptile is chemoreception, is in their head. They do have an organ of Jacobson, which is in the palate, like sort of most organisms do have, but they also have lots of different sensors, and they're trying to taste the air, taste the chemicals around them. Once it's pumped into the organ of Jacobson, this organ sends the signals directly to the brain, and the brain, of course, computes them, interprets them, and then allows the organism to understand what's going on around them. They are sort of live in a chemo world that we don't really understand. Most insects and other organisms do. And they can also nod their head to attract females as a sort of territorial display and a way to say, hey ladies, check me out, I'm looking good today. It's mainly the males that do it, to be honest. Stephanie, you're asking me my favourite reptile. Ooh, that's a tough one for a marine biologist who spent 8 years with turtles. Ugh, I've even given turtles mouth to mouth. Yes, we had to resuscitate a turtle. You can actually give chest compressions, CPR, and you can, if you wish, do mouth to mouth, which of course I did. Oh, so I'd probably say sea turtles. just because I've spent so much time, I've operated on them, I've rescued them, I've rehabilitated them, I've slept overnight with one because I didn't want it to be on its own. I've rescued eggs from being flooded. I've watched sea turtles hatch, make their way to the ocean. I think I would have to say sea turtles, but reptiles fascinate me. I love snakes. I know a lot of people are scared of snakes, but I'm utterly fascinated by them. I love lizards. But I'm going to go with turtles, Stephanie. But don't ask me to choose a species, because I can't. There's 7 sea turtle species in the world. Thought to be 8, but it was a sort of classification issue. 7. And please don't make me pick between them. A lovely reptilian sighting. I'm going to bumble and try and find maybe something that's not a reptile for a change.
Alrighty guys, so we just had a little bit of excitement. There was a blue wildebeest just calling here in the distance. Oh, well, not in the distance, probably about 200 meters away. You know, that typical call that they make when the male is trying to get the attention of the females. And everyone's heads popped up. They have gone back down now, but you can see this one in particular is very interested in what those wildebeests are up to. So, you know, with them paying so close attention, there's a very good possibility that if they do come any closer, the wind is perfect for the lions. We can't see the wildebeest at the moment. I think the trees are just behind or in front of them. But if these wildebeest come any closer, there might be a tiny bit of action. You know, it is still, even though the sun's come out and you can see how they've seeked out the shade, if there's an opportunity presenting itself, these young females just can't help themselves. So hopefully we'll have some action coming through. But, you know, even just to spend time with these guys and see how they react to the different sounds in the bush and, you know, drop back down and then hear something else and they don't really pay attention to it. It just shows you how in tune they are with what's going on around them. You know, with something like that blue wildebeest now immediately got their attention, but we've got birds and all of those types of things calling all around us and they're not really fazed about it. So it's so special to see, you know, how far behind we are if we had to be living in the bush, knowing what to listen for and what not to listen for or what not to worry about. I think we wouldn't last a week. Always interesting to see these things. But as you can see, it doesn't seem like it's too much of an interest at the moment. So we just had a question from Michael. At what age do the cubs usually start hunting? Michael, I'd say actively joining in hunts and, you know, being an added bonus to the team, probably at around 2 years. Maybe a little older than that, 2.5 years. However, you'll see them starting to be very interested in hunting from about a year's age. Then they're going to start stalking things and, you know, trying maybe a guinea fowl or something like that, not being successful at all. I mean, they still have so much to learn at that point. But joining the team when they are hunting, I'd say about 2.5 years. For the females is a good age to be, you know, to confirm that they will be in the hunts. Still, at that point, you'll find them messing up hunts more often than being an added bonus to the team. However, those misses are critical for those lion, you know, youngsters to learn the tricks of the trade and see how the adults are actually doing it and learn from what they did wrong and all of those things. So yeah, if we have to put a definite age on it, I'd say anything between 2 and 2.5 years for especially the females to start joining. young boys, they tend to take a little while longer. You know, they like being mommy's little boy. So sometimes, I'd say for them, probably between 2.5 and 3 years, they'll start joining in the hunt. But as soon as they do join in those hunts, they are definitely an added bonus. Then they can go for larger things, because by that time, they will also be stronger, you know, physically, than the females. So to have that when you're hunting something like eland or so, that extra power just makes a world's difference. So eland and giraffe and those types of things, as soon as the young boys start joining with the moms or with the team, it always helps. But yeah, these little guys, they still dreaming about that hunt that they get, taking down the buffalo or the eland. And in every dream they're successful. However, they'll very quickly learn that it doesn't necessarily work like that. For the time being, they're just enjoying the fact that their mother and her team members are so successful, and that they are able to lie under this tree at the moment with over full bellies and not have to worry about a thing apart from not doing anything irresponsible, which is also a difficult task for them at the moment. Irresponsible is kind of in their bones currently. However, I have to say, you know, from what I've seen from this particular litter of cubs, they have been very good when it comes to, you know, when mom's leaving, them going to look for good shelter and staying there and not moving around too much, and, you know, not exposing themselves to unnecessary evils. So I think there's a bright future for all three of them, depending on how well their mom will continue taking care of them. Not that I'm doubting her for 1 second, you know, if she's gotten them this far and they're looking like the way they are, I'm very sure that she's going to continue doing so. And having these 3 youngsters, the females now, sub-adults, to help her hunt and do all of those things, that will always just be a positive. So yeah, that's the future of the lions are looking bright here at Tswalu. Still can't wait to see those tiny little ones. But you know, all things that are good take time. So we'll have to see when they come through. So Donna just had a question. Do lions have retractable claws like domestic cats have? Donna, yes, absolutely they do. So you've got retractable claws in lion and leopard, so that they can stalk as silently as possible and keep those claws sharp. The only large cat that we have in South Africa, or in Southern Africa, or Africa for that matter, that is indigenous, that does not have fully retractable claws, they only have semi-retractable claws, that would be the cheetah. And the main reason for that is just so that they have the claws like little running spikes for when they have to travel at those great speeds, just a little bit extra traction, and running at over 100 kilometers an hour sometimes. So lions and leopard both have fully retractable claws, and that just helps to have those soft pads underneath with nothing scratching when they're busy walking as silently or stalking as silently as they can. And also it is a big help to keep those claws as sharp as possible. I've seen with the cheetahs, even in the soft sand that we have here in the Kalahari, the claws of the cheetahs are definitely more worn down and not quite as lethal as what you'd find with a lion, or for that matter a leopard as well. It looks almost like a dog's claws. I mean, if it scratches you, it's going to be sore and it might break the skin. But it's definitely not going to be that razor-sharp, curling claws that you have in the paws of a lion or a leopard. So yes, definitely retractable. Like I said, the only one of our cat species, regardless whether it's big or small, cat species in or southern Africa for that matter, that doesn't have retractable claws, fully retractable claws, is the cheetah. You can see the two little ones have taken a quick power nap, and now, well, I think they're going to be on and off. As the day goes by, as it gets warmer, they're going to become more and more flat, but definitely took a power nap and now just observing everything around them. Starting to think about possibly, grabbing a twig again, chewing on that. Just practicing those motor skills that's going to be so important for them to one day, when they reach that age of 2.5 years, or possibly 3, to be able to move as much as a lion as they possibly can when hunting. And yeah, oof, down they go. I don't think it's quite as comfortable for them lying at the moment as for the adults, because of those bellies being so round. I think they're having difficulty breathing to a certain extent as well. You know how you feel when you've eaten too much. Dear Watch, you're absolutely right. I hope to sleep like a lion as well. They've got this way of just making everything look perfect when it comes to lying down. So when sleeping, they do that incredibly good. They sleep sleeping is a hard term, but they are inactive for about 18 to 20 hours a day, of which I'd say probably around 12 of those they do spend sleeping. So, it's a craft that they've perfected. I can actually, just back on the blue wildebeest note, I can actually start seeing them moving through now. They're a little bit far away from us, but they're right behind us at the moment, probably about 200 meters away. David, just there next to that big green tree. I don't know if we'll get a visual of them, but I think they're a bit far away now, a bit behind the brush. That's all right. Got them. Lekker. So just to give you an idea of where the wildebeest are, guys, they are about, if I had to distance them, probably around 250 meters away from the lions, feeding into the wind. So the lions might catch a whiff of their scent a little later on, but not right now. And as we can see, these lions are not looking to hunt at the moment. So this female closest to us is actually dreaming. I'm just seeing her paws shaking every now and again. So she's dreaming about that blue wildebeest, but not quite chasing it in real life yet. But yeah, guys, as you can see, like we thought they were going to do earlier, they've chosen the shepherd's tree. We spoke about it yesterday as well. The shepherd's tree is a very valuable tree for something like a lion, because on a really hot day, when it's temperatures like, let's say, 42 degrees Celsius, which we often get around here in the midsummer, in the shade of this particular tree, you'll be 10 degrees Celsius lower than the actual temperature outside. So a very, very nice tree to have around here to provide shade for not only the lions, but for animals as they come, to get away from that blistering Kalahari sun. I do think that little bit of sunlight that she's got on her bum at the moment is quite nice, because the breeze is still cool, so just having the sun bake you a little bit is also an added bonus. But yeah, guys, we'll let you know if there's something more than snoring happening here. For the meantime, you're going to go somewhere else, okay?
So talking about a warm day, it is warming up, but we were able to see some warthogs. Let's see if we can get another glimpse of them. Often they don't stick around for too long, so let's just switch off here and have a look. There we go. It looked like a mother with quite a few little piglets. Oh, there, they might have just gone off. And it also, sometimes I've noticed with the animals, they tend to be a bit more unrelaxed, especially if the wind's blowing quite hard. And today it is warming up quite a bit, but the whole morning we've had a fairly decent breeze blowing in the area. But let's carry on. I mean, that water, imagine now, like if it starts warming up quite a bit, remember those mud wallows that we've been seeing all around the reserve, and yesterday we saw some buffaloes in them. So I could just imagine how this mom would eventually take those little piglets, go down to water or go and wallow in the mud and just cover themselves with that mud to protect themselves against the sun. Now, I still have my jacket on, but I feel probably within the next couple of minutes it will come off. Apparently they reckon it's going to be close to 36 degrees Celsius today, so it's going to be a warm day here in the African bush. Now let's have a look. So we are actually just driving through a variety of different vegetation types and also different habitats. So we're going through an area where it's nice and open, and then suddenly, like now, it's nice and closed. As we carry on, it might open up again. And so why we're doing that is because we want to, like once we move to denser areas, we could be looking out for animals that occur more in a denser bush. Like, for example, kudu, possibly nyala, bushbuck. But once we go to the open area, there's a chance of finding something like zebra, maybe wildebeest, something like those warthogs we saw earlier. And also, I mean, elephants will move between the two as well. And more buffalo, probably the older buffalo bulls into the denser areas and the bigger herds towards the open parts of the reserve. So we're not too far. We're going to carry on and hopefully be rewarded with some animals. But just everything. I mean, the whole drive has just been so beautiful. We've done such a epic little birding session as we were going on. JP, I'm sure most of the animals that are not used to, or they've moved from an area where there's not a lot of roads or a lot of vehicles moving. I'm just going to stop here quickly because there's a massive herd of impala. There's some actually to the back which we won't be able to see, but there's one particular female right in the middle here, and she's extremely round. Look at that one right there where we're looking. Imagine in the next week, maybe two, maybe a chance that we could start seeing some impala lambs around. Look at that. I do just love impala. I think sometimes because of their abundance we just drive past them, but they are beautiful animals, especially if you look at the colors. Look at that one that's now facing us and chewing. You see how the mouth moves sideways, not up and down. It's ordered to grind down whatever they might have fed on. Also just look around the tip of the ears. You'll notice some black markings around the eye. You'll see that young male just above this one's back. You'll notice how white the top of the eyes are, like starting from the base all the way up almost towards the ear. Very white mouth, and then the different colors like that golden red, bit of a brown, and then the yellow bellies. White bellies, sorry, not yellow. But look at how bulged that female's belly is. So maybe, as we said, not too long, and then we'll be able to see some impala lambs around. Now just moving from the left to right here is a big ram. And this is probably the dominant ram of this herd. So he's just making sure, keeping all the females together. even notice his horns, like how it curves backwards, and especially with how the sun catches at those ridges on top of the horns. And this young male here, his horns are still quite straight. It's only going to be maybe in the next year, maybe 2, where his horns will start curling a bit more. Have a look at how green it's become, especially over the last 2 months. I couldn't believe it. I've been on leave a few weeks ago, and when I came back, I could barely recognize the reserve. That's how green everything has just become over the last little while. Well, it doesn't look like these impala are going to be heading anywhere pretty soon. You can see the way that they just standing around. Some of them are ruminating, so they're bringing up all the food that they've been eating throughout the morning, chewing it and then swallowing again, breaking it down, and then it moves through the different stomach chambers. So they have a very similar structure as in comparison to cows. Most of the antelope here have that structure. But for now, let's slowly start carrying on. See, there's another open area in front of us here. Maybe there's a good chance we could find some of the other animals, maybe like a wildebeest, zebra, which is my favorite. I would really love to see if there's a big herd of zebra. And of course, you never know. I mean, wild dogs could be an option as well, going into open areas. We haven't seen them in a while, so it's almost about time they need to present themselves. But let's go and have a look. But definitely, I can feel it is warming up quite a bit now.
Sorry about that, everyone. We were just repositioning because we have a butterfly here, but it's almost impossible to see because of the angle, clinging on for dear life. Really camouflage, and I think it's one of the blues. This will be number 2 on my list. If any of you are making a list with me, please do. It's fun. We'll spend the entire summer adding to our list to see what species we see. And I think this is one of the blues, but from this angle, I just can't quite make out what one. Maybe it'll turn. Patience is key. And you can see it's really got to fight the wind here. There's quite a breeze picking up. And I already have one on my list, and it's the African common white. And I'm starting from scratch. But some of you joined me on that journey last year, and it was really, really good fun. And in order to fly, butterflies need to maintain an ideal temperature. And therefore, when it's cold, especially in the morning when they first wake up, butterflies actually can't fly. They need their muscles to be warmed. And therefore, you won't really sort of find butterflies fluttering around until that sun is up. And they normally need to maintain a sort of body temperature between 29 to 30 degrees Celsius. So sort of once it gets to that time in the morning, you'll just start to see them fluttering. So they're cold-blooded, ectothermic, just like the reptiles. So they need to wait until they get solar-powered. And then when their muscles warm up, they sort of get ready. And they have the ability to function and flutter and fly. But once it gets cold again... Oh, there we go, there we go. We're getting a view. It's definitely one of the blues. Now, I am massively out of practice with my butterflies, but hold on, I've got my ID kit here. Blues are actually the smallest groupings of butterflies. Any butterfly experts, please, you are welcome to give me a hand. Hashtag Wild Earth. It's got that orange spot, it's very spotty. It's got an orange spot at the base of the wing. I don't know if it's a smoky blue. I have a funny feeling it could be the common smoky blue. But I would need better visuals in order to confirm. So the blues, the smaller the butterfly, the shorter their life. Normally, on average, butterflies sort of can only live anywhere between a few weeks once they emerge from the chrysalis to about a year. And some of the blues may only live a handful of days. don't have a long life cycle. They're just here to fulfill a purpose. And the purpose for a butterfly is reproduction, lay your eggs, or if you're a male, mate. The purpose of being a caterpillar is eat, eat, eat as much as you can, so you get as big and as strong as you can, and then you can sort of evolve, metamorphosize into a butterfly. And it's not giving us the best views, is it? But just as they can't... Sorry, that game drive gets me every time. Just as they can't fly when they're cold, they also can't fly when they've just emerged from the chrysalis. It's not a cocoon. There's actually a difference between a moth's cocoon and a butterfly's chrysalis. But once they emerge, they can actually fly. It takes a little bit of time for them to stretch out their wings, warm up the muscles, and get ready. And normally they do this by basking in the sun. The sun is everything for a butterfly. So the main difference between a chrysalis and a cocoon is not a large difference, but basically a chrysalis is the hardened body of the pupal stage of a butterfly. Now, there's different stages in insect development, and butterflies have a pupal stage, and it's the hardened exoskeleton of that creates the chrysalis, and that's how they build it. Whereas a cocoon is not developed from a sort of internal structure, if you like. It's from an external structure, and it's sort of built by the moth. So although they look similar in shapes and they have a similar function, they are actually completely different in the way that they're built, if you like. The moth, the pupal stage of a moth, it doesn't harden. So therefore, they can't use that, their sort of exoskeleton, to create the cocoon. Butterflies harden for protection during this transformational stage. McKingor, you're saying it looks like a cabbage white butterfly. Don't believe we get the cabbage whites out here. I'm pretty sure it's North American and European. I could be wrong. You're welcome to correct me, but I'm sure the cabbage white doesn't exist in South Africa. But it's tiny. It's definitely one of the blues, and I think it's a common smoky blue, but I definitely can't be 100% sure on that. We're getting there. We're getting there on our butterfly list. Number 2, many, many more to go.
Alrighty, guys, so a little bit of action happening. Those blue wildebeest actually came a little closer, and immediately Mom shot forward to right next to our vehicle. You can see she's in full stalk mode now. Now, you'll have to bear with us. There might be a bar or an antenna in the way every now and again, but for this first section, before they are completely out of our view, we are not going to move a muscle. They are literally now not 100 meters apart from one another. So if the chase happens and so on, then yes, we'll move. But for the time being, we're just going to sit tight here and see if we can't witness something happening. That blue wildebeest, you can actually, I can see. I don't know if it will be easy for you to see it with a lens at the moment, but it's literally just, sorry? Okay, David's just swinging the camera around. The cables are getting tangled up, but there, where she is now, right behind that bush, it's about, okay, so you guys can see her, or the wildebeest. Let me just turn around as well. So that one that you can see in the screen, there's one even closer behind the branches there. Just look at that stalk mode, guys. Look at how quietly she's moving. The young females are actually leaving her by herself at the moment. Learning from the master, seeing how she's doing things. As you can see, very close to those wildebeest. I want them to turn slightly towards us and start moving this way. But, you know, it is what it is. I think she's just waiting for a little bit of cover to open up again for her to move even more, or edge a little bit closer to these wildebeest. At the moment, they're still a tiny bit too far for her to start the chase already. Not enough cover for her to, you know, duck behind, even though she's doing a trot. So I think she'll wait just for those wildebeest to move out of screen and behind some of the bushes before she goes even closer. When that happens, we might just move forward a little bit, get onto a high point, not going any closer to them, but just to a more open spot to see what unfolds. But yeah, it's always great to see how they go from, you know, looking like a log into that full-on killer mode. I don't think it's long before she starts moving again. We'll see now. I see one of the other females have now started showing some interest as well. She is slightly just, you know, stretching and waking up, but you can see there's definitely some interest being shown. But yeah, I think we're going to stick on this one because there's a lot more intent on that side. Flat, flat, flat. Yeah, I mean, if you didn't know there was a lion there, just looking at that scene, you wouldn't even see it. It's incredible. And the blue wildebeest completely unaware of the lions being around here. They wouldn't even know that there's a pair of eyes looking at them with the intent of turning them into a T-bone. Come on, girl, go closer. It's incredible the patience that these experienced hunters have and can show, not moving a single inch before the situation is not absolutely perfect for them to do so. Yeah. What a special morning so far. I wonder what type of calculations is going on in her head at the moment. There's some serious math being done. If these three youngsters are smart now, they'll go all along the foot of the mountain and actually get closer, because there she's doing that now. These wildebeest are edging towards the front tip of the mountain, just over there where you can see it. That female looks like she might want to move again a little bit. You can see the head is up slightly. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Guys, I'm not going to move now. If we see them chasing, or if they go static again, maybe I'll move a little bit, but I don't want to mess up these chances, okay? I know it's behind the bushes. Bear with me, we can't see in any way as well. But if we see movement that looks like a lion at 80 kilometers an hour, we're gonna go around. actually gone static on that side. No. Let's see. They've missed. I think they were just a little too impatient. Sorry about that bump. If she had waited maybe 10 seconds longer before she started chasing, that could have been interesting. But you see how quickly they gave up. As soon as it happened, she said, okay, no, you know what, I'm not going to waste any unnecessary energy. Oh, but just the, anticipation of this happening was so exhilarating. My heart is pounding. And see, you can see now, Mom has given up completely. She knows it's over. She's not gonna even try any further. It was the sub-adult that was looking at them for a little while longer. And yeah, guys, this is unfortunately how it goes in the life of a lion. They're not successful every time they go. They say their success rate is about 30%, so 1 in only every 3 attempted hunts, and that's for a good hunter, will end in a kill. So let's say this is number 1 down. They've got another one left to fail, and then hopefully number 3 will be successful. And okay, again, it doesn't necessarily mean that the next one will be a fail, but typically speaking, it's around 30% success rate. Yeah, guys, with that attempt failing, I think we'll go back to the cubs, see what they are up to. There's not going to be any more action on this side.
So we decided to look for some rhinos and instead came across a freshly used white rhino midden. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of activity happening around this midden. There are just hundreds and hundreds of dung beetles of all different shapes and sizes and colors, and all frantically rolling dung balls all over the show. It's pretty awesome to watch. I mean, as we sitting here, we've watched some fights happen over dung balls. We've watched kind of dung balls being made. We've watched, oh, there we go, one's coming to hijack the other. Came off second base there. I'm gonna try again. Oh no. Okay, he's decided he's not strong enough. He's gonna go find someone else to harass. But I mean, look how many there are, and it actually looks like we're in fast forward because of how furiously they're kind of rolling their dung balls away as quickly as possible, I suppose, for exactly that reason, so that the ones who just come in and steal and don't do any of the hard work, so they don't get you before they've had time to get away to safety. Oh, there's 2 little green ones there coming in from the side. I don't know if that one's helping or trying to steal. Yeah, it looks like they're doing a bit of a team effort there, one pulling, the other one pushing. It's also quite interesting that they all seem to be moving in the same direction. They're all coming towards the vehicle, heading like east. And quite often what you'll see if they kind of like trip over something or roll backwards or go in the wrong direction for a little bit, then one of the dung beetles will climb up on top of the ball, have a little look around to make sure he's going the right way. Oh, well, that one's going the wrong way, going completely opposite direction to everyone else. But yeah, generally they'll use the sun to direct themselves, so they'll climb up onto the top of the ball and see which way which way they are going or need to be going. There's a bit of a tussle happening there again, a collision. Yeah, I would say it looks like the end of a dung beetle party, horse lever. I think that everyone's leaving the party at the moment. They've been at the dung midden and they are all going home by the looks of things, or going to make some babies rather, because these are brood balls. These balls that they are, oh my gosh, those two are fighting over nothing. So these are called brood balls, the dung balls that they make. I'm sure there's a real dispute going on there. And they'll roll the balls away. They'll find a mate to come and join them. You saw with the little green ones, they helping one another, but often with the bigger ones, the female will just attach herself to the side of the dung ball and they'll roll it away till they find a nice soft bit of sand or dirt or earth where they can then bury the dung ball. The female will then go down, lay her eggs. Oh, shame, that one's not quite gotten the hang of making his dung ball nice and round. Just now that piece of stick's going to jab into the ground and he's going to go flying. But yeah, the female will then lay her egg in the dung ball and the male will go down, fertilize that egg, and then they'll go off, and that's the extent of their parenting. Lay the egg, fertilize the egg, leave them with some food to eat once they hatch, that being the dung ball. And then when the rains come next season, out they will come as a fully formed dung beetle. It's quite interesting as well that you see how the ones that steal generally only steal from the dung beetles of their own size. I suppose they want a bigger dung ball rather than that of the smaller green dung beetle balls. Okay, well, we're going to carry on watching, I think, this hub of activity, and we'll send you to another live location.
My favourite butterfly, one that is almost impossible to get on camera, the citrus swallowtail. Number 3 on the list. Yes, look how beautiful it is. It's very large. It's so much larger than that blue we just looked at. And you can see the club-like antenna, bulbous at the end. That's a key feature of butterflies. Moths do not have this. They're either straight or feather-tipped. Now, I don't know if you can see, but the proboscis is out and is drinking, is puddling. Or it's not really in the puddle, but it's trying to get minerals and salts from the ground using its proboscis. They're drinkers. They don't eat. They don't have mandibles. So right at the front, in between, sort of right at the front of the 6 legs, is the proboscis, the mouth parts. And this citrus swallowtail is remarkably relaxed. Now, butterflies are mind-blowing. And many people ask, how on earth do they get from a caterpillar to a butterfly? How does it happen? Basically, it's not really that pleasant. The caterpillar itself has to start digesting itself. Yes. Now, it releases special enzymes. I don't actually know which enzymes. And they dissolve all of its own tissue inside the chrysalis. So if you were to cut open a chrysalis at the right time, now please don't anyone ever do this, but if you were to slice it open, caterpillar soup, shall we call it, would just ooze out. So basically it digests itself into a liquid. But it's not completely as messy as you think, because there's actually a number of really highly organized groups of cells. And these cells are known as imaginal discs. And these special discs actually survive the digestive process. So they don't break down. These enzymes don't kill the cells or separate the cells. They survive it. So then before the sort of caterpillar actually hatches from its own egg at the very start of the life cycle, these imaginal discs are growing. And these discs are in place, groups of discs for every separate body part that will be needed as an adult, as the end stage, as a butterfly or a moth. So basically there'll be a certain groups of discs for the eyes, there'll be some for the wings, there'll be some for the legs, the antenna. And these discs remain even during the process of sort of liquefying, if you like. And so when it starts to liquefy and it's just disintegrated all its own tissue, really unpleasant to think about, these discs will utilize the protein-rich soup that has now been formed from the caterpillar. They'll use the protein as fuel, and through sort of cell division, mitosis or whatever, they will then rebuild using the Oh, look. I can't see what that other one is. So it will then rebuild using all the information from the imaginal discs and start to develop a new organism. So all the information is there. They get the protein from the sort of melted down caterpillar, and then they get all the fuel that they need, and they'll start to build an adult. Eyes, wings, legs, and so forth, antenna. So it liquefies and then rebuilds into this amazing creature that you are looking at right now. Isn't that just incredible? It is unbelievable. Now, in most species, I do believe that the sort of certain muscles and certain parts of the nervous system are preserved during the transformation. So it'll be the same muscles and the same parts of the nervous system that will survive the transformational process and be present in the adult butterfly. And I'm sure it's a fruit fly. The wings will start off as, well, the imaginal discs will start off as only 50 cells, and it will multiply and multiply to over 50,000 cells. So there's a lot of cell division going on, but I'm sure that's for the fruit fly. Ah, what an amazing sighting. That is definitely my sighting of the day.
Yeah, guys, I'm excited for the butterflies to start popping out here after the rains here at Tswalu as well. Always pretty to see those butterflies. But as you can see, now after the little bit of excitement that we've had with those blue wildebeest coming a little too close for comfort and the lions going for them, they are back doing what a lion does best. Kaboof. There we go. Out for the count. And I do think this is what they're going to look like for the better part of the day. We'll see how we feel like or what we think for this afternoon. We might, with them showing some real interest in those blue wildebeest, might come back here to see if they don't want to try another time to hunt and possibly be successful. But if not, they have treated us so well this morning, these lions. Those little fluff balls have been such a delight to have. And that greeting was just incredible. That would be one to put in the books as one of the most special sightings I've had in my guiding career. And, they don't even realize how special they made it for us this morning. This is just part of their life. And it does look like it's a very tough life at the moment. We don't know where the other female went. That other sub-adult, she might have chosen a different tree to go and lie down in. But I do think as the day progresses, these ones are also going to scatter out and each find its own bush. The cubs might dive into the thick stuff of this particular tree, but the adults won't want all the twigs sticking up their nose and so on. So I do think that they'll choose a spot, each of them, and go and lie down there. If they can be close to one another, they always choose to do so. But if not, it's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, guys, it is unfortunately that time of the morning where we are going to have to say see you this afternoon. It was very special to have you all with us on this live drive out here at Tswalu and all the different locations right throughout Southern Africa and East Africa. Please remember to come join us this afternoon again on channel 183 on DSTV, or you can follow us on YouTube or Twitter. Also remember to send us all of your questions using the hashtag WildEarth to send that through, and we'll answer it for you to the best of our ability. And then we're looking forward to being with you this afternoon and see what epic sightings we'll have for this afternoon. Alrighty, guys. See you this afternoon. Bye-bye.